the supreme dragon of the era of Tamers. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451 Invincible. The Frost and Death aura released by the Kixa Frost Wolf during the battle cannot be controlled, and it is easy to affect the weak Beastmasters, so that the cold poison enters the body and affects their cultivation. In order to avoid this situation, Gao Jingsheng will remind his opponent before the battle. If the opponent agrees, he will also summon his second pet, Silvercore Laurel, to deploy moonlight protection and actively absorb the cold air released by the Kixa Frost Wolf. However, most of the Beastmasters who can fight him are of extraordinary origin, and the defense source devices they wear are enough to shield the erosion of frost. As a disciple of Master Han, it would be strange if Chen Wei did not have a high-level defense source device on him. Thank you for the reminder. Feeling the slightly glowing Azure Dragon badge on his chest, Chen Wei nodded, and the delusion-breaking spirit eyes were activated instantly. Pet name, Kixa Frost Wolf. Pet attributes, Ice, Star, Racial level, Brilliant King, Strength level, Peak of the 5th Order upper position, Racial skills, Kixing Snow, Frostwood Wolf Howl, Frost Death, Kixing Possession. Pet introduction, a frost wolf species transformed by the power of the 4 wood birds, one of the 28 constellations. Although it cannot inherit the power of Zhaoshan Kui wood, it has allowed the Ice King Yingxia Frost Wolf to obtain a more terrifying cold air, thus evolving its bloodline and becoming the Kixa Frost Wolf, which is closest to the Overlord race. The peak of the 5th Order upper position, the potential of the heavenly level, and the possession of such a powerful frost wolf species. No wonder Gao Jingsheng was able to firmly occupy the 3rd place on the Zhuyi list with the cultivation of the 4th Order Source Star Peak, Chen Wei thought in his heart. Logically speaking, if the Beastmaster wants to drive the contracted pet as if it were his arm, the Beastmaster of the 4th Order Source Star Peak is better to control the strength of the pet to the lower 5th level. Otherwise, the greater the gap between the strength of the pet and the Beastmaster, the higher the autonomy of the pet, and the probability of actively tearing the Beastmaster contract will also soar. Even those Beastmasters who are bent on improving their strength will try to control the strength of the pet to not exceed one realm of their own Source Star cultivation, such as the peak of the 4th level of the Source Star and the lower level of the 5th level, or 2 small levels, such as the initial stage of the 4th level of the Source Star and the upper level of the 4th level of the pet strength, to prevent the pet from losing control. The reason why Gao Jingsheng was able to control the Kixa Frost Wolf across a whole level is because of his innate talent, the intersection of stars and the moon, intertwining stars and moons, a special talent of the Earth rank, which can use the Beastmaster's Source Star as the star and the pet's strength as the moon, and the starlight blends and grows with each other, greatly improving the strength of the Beastmaster's Source Star, and even controlling the contracted pet across a large level. Sensing Chen Wei's sharp gaze, Gao Jingsheng suddenly felt a sense of being completely seen through, and his eyes subconsciously looked at the guardian spirit ring on his fingers. As the eldest son of the Gao family, this is a family heirloom that he carries with him all the time to prevent various abnormal conditions such as mental attacks and curses. The 7th level superior defense source device, Guardian Spirit Ring. If it weren't for the reminder of the Spirit Ring, he would never have discovered Chen Wei's peeping with his own strength. Thinking of this, Gao Jingsheng was suddenly shocked, and his eyes looking at Chen Wei also changed. To be able to make the Guardian Spirit Ring automatically protect the Master, Chen Wei's spiritual eye talent is definitely not only the Zhuan level perspective spiritual eye recorded in the data, but at least it must be a talent above the Earth level, and it is very likely that there will be only one heaven level talent among millions of Beastmasters. Discovered, looking at Gao Jingsheng, who showed a bit of nervousness on his face, Chen Wei was a little surprised. Since his spiritual eye evolved and transformed into multiple characteristics, except for epic masters or overlord beasts, basically no one can detect his delusion-breaking spiritual eye detection. Uncle Kui, Thousand Crystal Ice Storm. Gao Jingsheng habitually called the contracted Kixa Frost Wolf Uncle Kui. Because Kixa Frost Wolf is not only his father Gao Xianru's reserve pet, but also his nanny and playmate since he was a child. In the Gao family, which is close to pets and advocates harmony with nature, the pets contracted by the fathers are also elders. This rule not only makes the Gao family children closer to pets, but also leaves a lot of powerful pets that have nowhere to go because of the death of the Beastmaster, but are accustomed to getting along with humans, becoming the Gao family's power to deter foreign enemies. If the family had not started to cultivate in advance and spent a lot of Beastmaster resources to lay the foundation for the potential of Kixa Frost Wolf, Gao Jingsheng would never have been able to raise the strength of the quasi-dominant race, Kixa Frost Wolf, with a long growth period to the peak of the 5th level in just 7 years of becoming a Beastmaster. This is the gap between the genius of the Beastmaster family and the genius of the civilians. At this moment, as Gao Jingsheng gave the order, the cold wind surged. The cold air emanating from the Kixa Frost Wolf turned into a tsunami storm that swallowed everything and swept the entire battlefield. In the blink of an eye, the temperature dropped sharply, and a terrifying blizzard fell from the sky at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing this, Tamed immediately activated the anti-source defense system. The dim light flowing on its body not only dispelled the overwhelming cold for Tamed, but also made its dragon claws burst out with a majestic mechanical source of power. Boom! At the moment when Tamed used its dragon claws to annihilate the ice storm, Kixa Frost Wolf stepped on the frost, and its agile figure disappeared into the raging ice storm, and then quietly appeared in the ice crystals behind Tamed. A pair of wolf claws emitting endless coldness froze the space and fiercely attacked the vital point 2 meters below Taode's neck. Crack, crack, before the two sides came into contact, the biting frost on the wolf claws caused a thin layer of ice crystals to condense on the dragon scales of Tamed, obviously trying to restrict and block Taode's movements. Chen Wei, ancient dragon wings, facing the rapidly approaching cold air. Tamed unhurriedly stretched out his dragon claws to clamp the wolf claws in front of him, causing Kixa Frost Wolf to stagnate slightly, and then seized the opportunity, and the dragon wings burning with blood-colored fire bombarded Kixa Frost Wolf's waist at lightning speed. In an instant, the bright and beautiful ice crystals shattered and splashed with a terrifying shock wave visible to the naked eye. Under this overwhelming attack, Kixa Frost Wolf instantly turned into a cannonball and fell in the opposite direction at a faster speed. Hasn't lost the ability to fight yet, Tamed looked at the blood dripping slowly in the smoke, and his limbs trembled, but he still managed to stand up from the deep pit on the ground. It flapped its wings, carrying a roaring wind, and forcibly approached the opponent, and started a fierce fight with the opponent. Boom boom boom, every time the Tamed dragon claws collided with the ice crystal wolf claws, the violent force would cause Kixa Frost Wolf to retreat several steps in succession to relieve the force. After more than a dozen rounds of fierce collisions, the shaky Kixa Frost Wolf seemed unable to withstand the Taode's overwhelming wolf attack, and was directly hit by Taode's claws on the snow, forming a bottomless pit, causing 1/3 of the battle stage to collapse. This is the power of the dragon. The excited audience looked at the invincible Tamed on the battle stage with longing eyes. P.S. Thank you Yika Renjiang for the 500 starting coins reward, and thank you all for your subscription support. Chapter 452 Kixing Possession. Such a fast speed, such a strong force, such a terrifying defense, Gao Jingsheng frowned. In the Donghu country where dragons are respected, he has come into contact with giant dragons before. As the eldest son of the Gao family, Gao Jingsheng has come into contact with many rare dragon species that ordinary beastmasters would hardly encounter in their lifetime, but in terms of strength, none of them can compare to the black dragon in front of him. You know, even Senior Ji Ren's Wuji Red Dragon dare not ignore the frost of the Kixa Frost Wolf. You need to be on guard at all times and use the ancient flames of the mountain to drive away the frost to avoid being frozen. However, in the case of Tamed, he only felt that it was completely ignored. Yes, that's right. The frost of the Kixa Frost Wolf is enough to make the earth fall into the end. The frost that the strange beasts can't avoid can't erode and defeat the defense of Tamed. Uncle Kui, can you still fight? Gao Jingsheng looked at the bottomless pit with scattered gravel in front of him and transmitted his thoughts. In front of the terrifying black dragon whose size covered the sky and sun, wantonly vented its dragon power, and made the space shake with just a simple gesture. His former reliance on the trumpet beast that was enough to dominate Ziwei University seemed particularly small, like an ant. A woo, an unwilling wolf howl responded to Gao Jingsheng's inquiry. The dark pit suddenly sounded with waves of frost freezing, followed by a deafening roar. The ice crystal storm that was like a surging wave spread wildly from the deep ravine, revealing a Kixa Frost Wolf with a changed shape and an unwilling face. Kixing possession. Looking at Uncle Kui who burst out with all his strength and revealed his trump card, Gao Jingsheng's eyes showed a hint of excitement. Skill, Kixing possession, level, 7th level Galaxy Skill, Introduction, completely trigger the power of the 4 wooden birds in the body, thereby entering the state of Kimu Wolf possession, and all attributes are greatly enhanced. Kixa Frost Wolf did not release any skills, but simply roared, and the cold breath it exhaled turned everything in front of it into ice with the temperature drop to the extreme. Obviously, with the blessing of Kixa Frost Wolf's possession, its strength has surpassed the peak of the 5th level, and reached the half-step 6th level, which is only a stone's throw away from the 6th level. Unfortunately, Uncle Kui and Kimu Wolf Star have a low degree of compatibility, and cannot cross the limit and temporarily enter the 6th level. Gao Jingsheng clenched his fists. If Uncle Kui could temporarily enter the 6th level with the help of Kixing's possession, he would have defeated Han Wuguang's Kingaeawa Dragon and become the well-deserved first on the Ziwei list. The geniuses who can rank at the top of the Ziwei list are really not easy to deal with. Looking at the Kixa Frost Wolf whose strength has greatly increased in the distance, Chen Wei's eyes were not surprised, and there was even a trace of excitement in his heart. Don't play around, Taote, let it see your true strength. Such an opponent who dares to face the real dragon, even if he is seriously injured, is still full of fighting spirit, and is not affected by the dragon's might is worthy of Taote's seriousness. Hearing this, the source of power in Taote surged rapidly. And he subconsciously used the epic skill Hell's Gate that he had used in the Beast Refining Tower not long ago. Boom, the ground began to tremble, and the ground on the battle stage that was strong enough to resist the attacks of the 5th level beasts gradually revealed a hint of red, and the terrifying high temperature suddenly filled the entire venue. Affected by this, the frost that occupied 1/3 of the battle stage of Kixa Frost Wolf began to melt, and the dense water vapor was burned up by the scorching heat before it rose to the sky. At the same time, the audience in the battle square noticed the sweat dripping from their foreheads and the wet clothes on their bodies, and they took out ice resources that could cool down from their star rings. It's so hot, what kind of outrageous skill is this? The high temperature it emits can even penetrate the defense shield on the battle stage. Water, I'm so thirsty. As 2 spectators near the front row fell down due to heat stroke, the medical staff guarding both sides of the battle stage began to disperse the low-level beastmasters in the audience to prevent more people from being affected. This is not a fight you freshmen can watch, stay away. Under the command of the staff, most of the freshmen moved away from the fighting stage with fear on their faces. Only some strong seniors still sat in their original places, staring at the fight on the stage. Uncle Kui, can you hold on? Seeing Taote display such a terrifying skill, Gao Jingshen, who felt his feet burning at the moment, couldn't help but look up at Kixa Frost Wolf. With a guardian spirit ring protecting him, he didn't care about his own safety, but was concerned about whether Kixa Frost Wolf could withstand this skill that was so terrifying before it was formed. Ah, give me all the source power. Kixa Frost Wolf was surrounded by a storm of flying ice crystals, with a strong fighting spirit in his eyes, and the blue crystal on his forehead burst out with unprecedented light. Kixa Frost Wolf had been absorbing the star power of Kimu Wolf, who was in charge of killing among the 28 constellations for many years, and he had unknowingly developed a warlike habit. Therefore, instead of winning or losing the battle, it only wanted the lofty dragon to bow its head and look at itself, and it was willing to exhaust all its strength for this. I understand. Gao Jingsheng closed his eyes and mobilized all the source power in his body. Perhaps because he and his pet worked together and had the same goal, at this moment, his source star actually bloomed with a dazzling red light that was unprecedented. After today, I will be able to ignite the spark and break through the source star to the 5th level. After the source power in his body was completely emptied, Gao Jingsheng suddenly had an intuition in his heart. Kui star is annihilated. As the Kixa Frost Wolf moved his mind, hundreds of sharp ice storms suddenly emerged around it. A small, about 5 or 6 centimeters in diameter, dazzling white ice crystals like diamonds began to condense under the surrounding surging ice storms. In an instant, the terrifying high temperature and the flawless frost devoured and repelled each other. Boom, the ice storm that covered most of the battlefield, covering the line of sight, suddenly disappeared under Chen Wei's surprised eyes. All your strength is concentrated on that ice crystal. With his eyes that can see through everything, Chen Wei instantly saw through his opponent's intentions. But it's too late. Chen Wei tilted his head to look at the creepy gate of hell that was vaguely emerging behind Taote. At this time, Kixa Frost Wolf grabbed the ice crystal that appeared on his forehead in his claws, and the terrifying ice power burst out at this moment. The platform under his feet suddenly turned into ashes, and then launched a final charge towards Taote. Hellgate attack. As Chen Wei's voice fell, the earth turned into nothingness in the incredible eyes of countless spectators and referee Lu Zilazhen in the battle square. Countless lava fire pillars that were terrifying enough to evaporate everything tore through the space, and the dazzling intensity illuminated the dark night like daylight, and completely swallowed up the figure of Kixa Frostwolf. This generation of students is too outrageous. Lu Zilazhen's expression changed slightly, and the earth-locking treasure shield that had been ready for a long time was quickly activated. Chapter 453 U Family Secret Technique. Is it over? The Beastmasters in the audience stared at the battle arena in a daze. If they hadn't known the strength of the two sides in advance, this earth-shaking battle would have even reminded them of a king-level powerhouse. Ahem. A few coughs suddenly sounded in the smoke-filled, flattened, and devastated lava land. At this time, Lu Zilazhen's sleeves were covered with large pieces of frost, and his strong and powerful right palm tightly grasped the unconscious Kixa Frostwolf. As for the earth-locking treasure shield on his right hand, it was faintly emitting a faint heat. Are you okay? Looking at Gao Jingsheng and Yu Kangcheng, who were still in shock, and the dilapidated venue under his feet, Lu Zilazhen's face was a little surprised. You know, every battle arena in a battle square is carefully built by senior blacksmiths, and even the defense shields that automatically rise on both sides of the arena can withstand the full force of the 6th level King Beast. In this way, a battle arena must cost at least tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of star coins, but it was broken through by a student in a battle. Fortunately, Rosewood University is rich, otherwise, if there are more battles, it would be a loss. Lu Zilazhen took a deep look at Chen Wei in the distance. As an associate professor of the battle department, he even had the idea of restricting Chen Wei from entering the battle square. After all, no matter how big and powerful Rosewood University is, it cannot waste financial resources like this. With Chen Wei's current strength, it is no longer suitable for training in the battle square. He can only go to the king-level battle hall where teachers often fight and guide. Winner, Chen Wei, Lu Zilazhen said in a deep voice. There is no way. Gao Jingsheng has exhausted his source power. If he hadn't fed him the elixir in time, he would have fainted long ago. Hearing this, Chen Wei cast his eyes on Yu Kangcheng, the last challenger of this challenge. Yu Kangcheng's expression froze slightly. If he surrendered directly, he would definitely be criticized by his previous opponents as a coward, affecting the reputation of the club. In any case, he would not be allowed to retreat in this battle. Do we need to change the venue? The defense measures here have all been damaged. Chen Wei looked down at the ground that was still emitting billowing steam and suggested. If the school had not been responsible for repairing the damage to the battle platform and no compensation was required, he would have been unable to resist and slap Teodi on the head. Roar! Teodi glanced at Chen Wei from the corner of his eye and did not dare to say anything. The mechanical dragon core in its body could connect to the Donghu Kingdom network, so it naturally knew how much wealth it had destroyed in an instant with the Hellgate it released. Let's fight here, don't mess up other battle platforms. I can completely block the aftermath of the skills with the earth-locking treasure cover. Lu Zilazhen hurriedly stopped him. Although the financial expenditure for maintaining the battle platform was allocated by the finance department of Zidian University and he did not need to pay for it personally, it was easy to explain if one battle platform had problems, but if two had problems, it would be a hassle to submit an application report at that time. Buzz, soon, under the urging of the earth-locking treasure cover, a layer of indestructible golden light replaced the collapsed defense of the battle platform and enveloped Chen Wei and Yu Kangcheng. I have a secret technique. If your pet can take it, I will admit defeat, Yu Kangcheng said without hesitation. There was no other way. He could not win by fighting. He could only try to use his best advantage. Maybe he could win. Secret technique. Hearing this familiar yet unfamiliar word, Chen Wei could not help but become interested. In addition to the pets that the ancestors prepared for their descendants in advance, the beast-taming family has a long history. In combination with the skills of the pet race, the endless inheritance of secret techniques is also the basis for them to be far ahead of civilian beastmasters. Please, Chen Wei extended his hand to signal. Without hesitation, Yu Kangcheng instantly summoned his trusted partner. In the bright red light, a leopard-like beast at least 7 meters tall with ice crystal petals on its head and back suddenly appeared. It has extremely strong limbs, and the upper body is a cluster of snow-white plants, like armor made of ice crystals, and the skin on the lower body is like steel, shining with a metallic luster. However, The most eye-catching thing is the strange tail behind this Zunbao, which looks like a blooming man-eating plant, giving people a feeling of icy cold and howling wind. Name of pet: Flying Snow Zunbao. Pet attributes: Ice, Wind. Racial level: Brilliant King. Strength level: Level 5 upper. Racial skills: Flying Flowers, Stepping on Snow, Cold as Ice and Frost. Zunfengsa Claws, Wind covering snow, Wind facing hurricane. Introduction: as the king of leopards born in the wind and snow, wherever the flying snow Zunbao appears, there will be a glacial storm, so the flying snow Zunbao is also known as the Storm Ice King. Chen Wei's eyes moved slightly. It seems that the pet's secret skills are not within the observation range of the Pahum Lingmao, wind covering snow. With Yu Kangcheng's order, the sudden outbreak of the glacial storm instantly turned the dilapidated ground into a spotless white ice ground. Wind facing hurricane. The tail of the flying snow Zunbao appeared with blue and white interweaving light, and endless ice blades and wind blades burst out from the hurricane formed on its body. Taote subconsciously blocked in front of Chen Wei. Bang, bang, bang. The violent ice blades and wind blades shattered as soon as they touched the dragon scales of Taote. What's the difference between this and a combination skill? Chen Wei opened his eyes wide, trying to analyze this secret skill that fits the attributes of the colorful spirit through the delusion-breaking spiritual eyes. At the same time, Yu Kangcheng urged the source power in his body and formed several mysterious hand seals with his hands. One by one, the colorful runes slowly appeared on the tail of the flying snow leopard. Then, a faint glimmer quietly extended from the tail of the flying snow leopard and connected with Yu Kangcheng's hand seal. The next second, the light became more and more intense, and the source power of the world rioted, and soon formed an obscure ancient rune formation that slowly rotated. As if he had exhausted a lot of energy, Yu Kangcheng looked at Taote with effort, and then aligned his hand seals with both hands. Secret skill: Snow Burial Wind Shattering. Fixa Zunbao flicked its tail, and a pair of gorgeous ice crystal wings that expanded wildly at a speed visible to the naked eye suddenly spread out from behind it, and then the ice crystals on the wings shattered, and terrifying blue lasers shot out from the shattered ice crystals, aiming directly at Taote. So that's it. It's not about using source power to amplify the pet, but learning the way that the superpowers release skills to mobilize the source power in the body to form a skill array that matches the pet's attributes, so that the pet's skill power will increase several times, or even dozens of times, to achieve the effect of 1 + 1, 2 or 10. Chen Wei frowned. Because the characteristics of the array are too obvious, even if he learns this secret skill that cooperates with a pet, he can't use it publicly unless he can get the consent of the Yu family. What a pity. Chen Wei sighed softly and gave up the idea of stealing. Once this kind of core secret skill involving family inheritance is discovered and passed on, it will be a situation of life and death. Rather than taking the risk of secretly learning from this family, he might as well integrate the secrets of hundreds of families through more battles, and finally create a secret skill that is exclusive to his pet. Chapter 454, Entering the Beast Refining Tower again. The terrifying blue laser cut through the sky, freezing everything along the way, and instantly wrapped the Taote hovering in the air in ice blue snowflakes. Crack, crack. When everyone reacted, the pressure on the field was as high as a mountain and a river, and the surface temperature of the Taote, which could not be stopped by any beast, dropped to the extreme in an instant. The frost spread wildly, and under the illumination of the bright moonlight, it seemed to be coated with a layer of ice prison that shimmered like blue crystal. Even the beast masters in the spectator seats couldn't help but open their mouths and look at this scene in disbelief. Could it be that Yu Kangcheng won? He solved a black dragon in an instant. Is Yu Kangcheng the real Zuyi #1? No, it's impossible. How could a real dragon that swept everything lose to a weak Zunbao? Senior Chen Wei is invincible. I won. Yu Kangcheng looked at the terrifying black dragon that was frozen by the snow and wind in the distance and seemed unable to move. He felt like he was dreaming. That's right. After all, the black dragon is still in its growth stage, and its strength level is not strong. In addition, it has been fighting against 8 geniuses in a row, and it has also been hit by my secret skill, Snow Burial Wind Shattering. It is outrageous that it has only been exhausted until now. Yu Kangcheng, who had recovered from his unconscious state, murmured. With his current source star cultivation, it takes a long time to charge and seal the pet beast's secret skills inherited from his family, and there is not much practical value at all. After all, no matter what, the opponents and the wild beasts are not fools. The process of him and the pet beast releasing the secret skills alone is enough to be interrupted n times, or let the enemy escape from the skill range and advance. Unless his source star cultivation can reach the 6th level king, he can instantly activate the pet beast's secret skills in a fierce battle. Otherwise, the pet beast's secret skills he has been practicing can only play a big role in specific situations, such as now. Just when Yu Kangchang thought the overall situation was settled, a deafening dragon roar suddenly sounded. The next second, under Yu Kangchang's incredible gaze, Taode's dark dragon eyes suddenly lit up, and the frozen prism covering it was instantly freed by an unstoppable force, and pieces of broken ice crystals fell on the devastated ground like raindrops. With the 3 major defense skills of anti-source defense system, energy storage and super limit dragon scales, plus the prototype of the legendary field, Taode's defense can be said to be piled to the limit. Even the 6th level king beast may not be able to break through the defense. This snow burial wind can temporarily freeze Taode for 2 or 3 seconds. The pet beast secrets inherited by the beast tamer family are indeed desirable. Chen Wei looked at the Taode who was unharmed and looked comfortable, as if he had taken an ice bath, and praised him in his heart. I don't know if there are any precious pet beast secrets in the teacher's treasure house to exchange. Maybe I can learn a few tricks. Chen Wei's mind turned. I give up. Looking at the panting Fixuzunbeo, and the domineering and breathtaking giant dragon on the opposite side, Yu Kangchang kept his promise and chose to give up directly. Tonight's Ziwei ranking challenge ends here. And I hope everyone will leave in an orderly manner, the referee Lu Zizan announced. Is it over? Shu Zinglan stared blankly at the Kayanda Philippe on his wrist, his eyes a little absent-minded. If he remembered the time correctly, this highly anticipated challenge lasted only a short 15 minutes. What's going on? Didn't you say that Chen Wei would fight all night? I haven't even eaten a few bites of the popcorn in my hand, and the game is over, a pretty girl whispered. Who isn't? I was originally planning to stay up late to watch the game, but after the game ended, the barbecue skewers I pre-ordered online have not been delivered, the man next to the girl sighed. It's only been 15 minutes, and 8 famous genius beast masters were easily solved by Chen Wei. It's calculated that one person can't even last 2 minutes. I can do it too. The young man was eager to try. The fans of Chen Wei who were sitting around him glanced at him. You can do it? Don't be ridiculous. It's not that the opponent is too weak, but Senior Chen Wei is too strong. Similar remarks were constantly heard in the audience seats, and even some haters who usually criticize Chen Wei chose to remain silent at this moment. There is no way. The record of the Beastmaster speaks for itself, and it is useless to just talk hard. In the eyes of many students mixed with envy, jealousy, admiration, longing and other complex emotions, Chen Wei, who has become the focus of the audience at this moment, turned and walked off the battle stage. Chen Wei looked at the surprise on the faces of the Zixia members, and the eager eyes that seemed to be looking at a demon, and couldn't help shrugging. What's wrong? It's only been a week since we last met, and no one recognizes me. Hearing this, everyone shook their heads, but their strange eyes were always fixed on Chen Wei. I still have to go to the Buddha Tower to challenge the level, so I'll leave first. After exchanging a few pleasantries with everyone, Chen Wei could not stand the members' astonished looks, so he ran away decisively, intending to experience the difficulty of the 4th level of the inheritance trial. He even pushed Guo Jingsheng's invitation to discuss important matters to Yu Zilman. Looking at Chen Wei's disappearing figure, Shen Yixiu suddenly spoke up. It's ridiculous. Before, there were people who doubted that the president could not pass the 6th level of the Buddha realm. If the president really wanted to break through the 9th level of the Buddha realm, which no one had been able to break through in the past few decades, would not stop the president. Everyone nodded repeatedly. Except for Professor Tan, the youngest epic powerhouse. Most of the students who could break through the 9th level on the Buddha list in the past have now become nationally famous legendary powerhouses. In the eyes of everyone, it is obviously a matter of time before President Chen Wei, who has the qualifications of a legend, breaks through the 9th level of the Buddha realm. Buddha Tower, here I come again. Looking at the towering beast refining tower in front of him, Chen Wei strode in. However, what Chen Wei didn't know was that the moment he entered the beast refining tower, the golden bell on the top floor of the ancient tower suddenly burst into a mysterious glimmer, instantly attracting the attention of the tower keeper Qiao Shen. Please choose the world you want to enter. Hearing this indifferent voice, Chen Wei decisively responded, start the inheritance trial. The progress of the trialer has been detected, and the 4th level of the inheritance trial is open. As a beam of teleportation light fell, Chen Wei's figure instantly disappeared in the crowded hall on the 1st floor. When Chen Wei opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was the red flame world. Puff! Just as the magma splashed, a drop of hot magma bursting out from the lava river narrowly passed by Chen Wei's cheek, and then exploded on the ground not far away. Kayling waved her claws, and a layer of azure barrier immediately protected Chen Wei. No need to waste energy to activate the ice barrier. I have the fireproof beads to protect me. Chen Wei took out the fireproof beads he carried with him, and saw a flash of flame. A brilliant light flowed on his body, and the fire energy that was constantly invading and rioting around him suddenly turned into a docile and lovely fire elf. Chapter 455, Beast Taming Faction. The high temperature here alone is enough to make beast masters below the 5th level of Source Star lose their ability to move. Chen Wei removed the energy of the fire-avoiding beads on his palm, carefully sensed the hot and violent source power outside, and secretly estimated in his heart. Then he looked around and found that the surrounding area was full of gushing magma, and there was no way to pass. It seems that the target of this trial is under the lava river. Touching the giant long watch on his wrist, Chen Wei relied on the protection of the fire-avoiding beads and jumped into the magma that was enough to melt gold and fossils. The moment Chen Wei touched the warm magma, a cold voice suddenly sounded. The 4th level of the trial? Find the red-faced Yeu hidden in the magma world and perfectly peel off its cowhide. Note: after the red-faced Yeu died, only a flame with a higher temperature than the Yeu red flame can shed its cowhide. As soon as the prompt sound fell, Chen Wei looked at the endless scorching magma around him, and the delusion-breaking spirit eye was immediately activated. I can't find it. Chen Wei frowned slightly. Under the interference of the majestic fire source power, his observation ability of the delusion-breaking spiritual eyes was greatly affected, but it was a bit outrageous that he couldn't find even a trace of life. Kayling, can you sense the strange beasts nearby? Yi, I can't find it. Kayling shook her head in confusion. Chen Wei tilted his head to look at Yu Tong, who was excitedly swimming in the lava river. Seeing Chen Wei's gaze, it froze, then tilted its head, revealing a questioning look. It's okay, you continue to play. After saying that, he ignored Yu Tong, who raised her head and used her mouth as a fountain to spit out magma, and looked down at the mechanical wristband on his left wrist that was transformed from Teodi. Roar, facing the question of the Beastmaster, Teodi opened his mouth and aimed at the lava river and breathed out a terrifying dragon breath mixed with dragon, mechanical and dark elements. Boom, accompanied by a violent roar, the lake that gathered the majestic magma suddenly burst out dozens of lava fire pillars with amazing momentum. Don't make trouble, you will only alert the enemy and make the red-faced beast hide deeper. Chen Wei patted Teodi's head. If such a simple and crude method can find the hidden beast, I will. Before Chen Wei finished speaking, the lava river began to tremble, and a terrifying black shadow on the surface of the lake grew from small to large, and finally revealed a huge bull head with red 4 horns and a hideous face. Roar, seeing this, Teodi proudly puffed up his chest. That's fine, Chen Wei blinked in surprise. As the red light surged, a bull-headed monster at least 15 meters tall, with dark hair on his neck, dozens of sharp black bone spurs protruding from his shoulders, and 2 front limbs similar to human arms, with sharp and slender nails and red flames attached, suddenly appeared. The reason why Chen Wei thought that this strange beast was at least 15 meters tall was because its lower body was completely hidden in the boiling and bubbling hot magma river. Then a large piece of magma from the ground surged up like a storm, revealing a huge sword that was completely red, 10 meters long, with shark-like teeth on the outside of the sword and lava on the inside. Whoosh, a gust of hot wind whistled past, and Chen Wei couldn't help but shield his eyes with his hands. Then, the red-faced Yali stretched out his right hand, grabbed the big sword that rushed out of the lava, and made a sword flower, setting off a fierce firestorm. Pet name, Red-faced Yali. Pet attributes, fire, gold. Racial level, epic overlord. Strength level, lower level 5. Racial skills, soul devouring, sword master, Yali red flame, fine gold forging, overlord pressure. Pet introduction, red-faced Yali is a kind of beast that is good at learning. It will use the magma, fire and ore nurtured by nature to create its own weapons. It is a natural forger. Note, red-faced Yali will learn skills from humans passing through its territory. The way of learning is soul devouring. Therefore, red-faced Yali is also called evil beast. It is a beast that is prohibited from contracting by the Beast Taming Association. Realizing that there seemed to be countless wailing resentments hidden behind the red-faced Yali, Chen Wei's face turned cold. In today's beast taming era, beast tamers are roughly divided into 3 factions according to their own ideas. One is the moderate faction, advocating harmonious coexistence with alien beasts, and treating alien beast partners as another form of human beings. Some beast masters born after the star calendar have joined this faction. The other is the radical faction, emphasizing that those who are not of our race must have different hearts. They advocate the use of extermination or high-pressure control to treat alien beasts as cold weapons. Most of the advocates of this part have experienced the disaster of alien beasts attacking the city or the abyss. The last one is the neutral faction, which is a combination of the moderate faction and the radical faction. Because of the emergence of bond coordination and beast control cooperation, it occupies the most mainstream thought in the beast control era. It advocates harmonious coexistence with docile alien beasts while killing the evil beasts that pose a huge threat to the human race. In addition, there are some rats that are not worth mentioning and can only hide in the gutter, such as the evil beast masters who will give everything in pursuit of strength and longevity, ignore the interests of the human race, and even openly explore taboos. Chen Wei has always felt that he is a neutral faction. In his opinion, as long as the beast master chooses to attack the alien beast for the magic core and resources, he must be prepared to be killed by the alien beast. This is fair but also cruel. However, there are always exceptions. For an alien beast like the red-faced Yaoyu that likes to devour souls and has countless human blood and resentment on its hands, Chen Wei will never let it go even if it has nothing to do with a mission. Kai Ling, give it a hard blow. Yu Tuang, don't play with magma now, use the fire and flames to increase your strength. Teodi, just go straight up. Following Chen Wei's command, Kai Ling shuttled through space and her figure instantly appeared behind the red-faced Yaoyu. A pair of black dragon claws that could break gold and break stone and exude endless frost directly pierced its palm, holding the great sword. Obviously, in order to reduce the opponent's combat power, Kai Ling chose to activate the Holy Dragon Entanglement posture to attack the strongest and weakest defense of the red-faced Yaoyu. However, the red-faced Yaoyu moved his wrist, and the powerful sword in a strange posture set off a series of sonic booms in the air, blocking Kai Ling's dragon claws. Dang dang dang, the dragon claws collided with the sword blade, and lava and ice crystals splashed everywhere. The sword of countless weight danced impeccably in the hands of the red-faced Yaoyu, giving people a feeling of flexibility and lightness. But with the addition of Yu Tuang and Teodi, the situation of the two strong rivals was instantly broken. The red-faced Yaoyu blocked the attacks of Kai Ling and Yu Tuang with his sword, but failed to stop Teodi, who suddenly attacked from behind as the temporary sixth. Teodi pierced the red-faced Yaoyu's bullhead with a dragon claw, leaving a 5-meter-long wound, and a large amount of hot blood suddenly gushed out of the wound. P.S. Thank you for the 100 starting coins rewarded by the Night Knight. Chapter 456, The Skin of the Alley. The head was severely injured by the attack, but the red-faced Yaoyu aroused the ferocity hidden deep in its blood. It spit out fire and roared violently. Ignoring Kai Ling and Yu Tuang in front of it, it cut through the space with a sword and slashed at the scales below Teodi's neck, but Teodi easily dodged it and hit it hard on the head. Opportunity. Kai Ling took the opportunity to get close to the red-faced Yaoyu and created a slow space with itself as the center from which it could not escape. Suppressed by the majestic gravity, Yaoyu's movements became stiff. Not only did the speed of swinging the great sword drop by 80%, but even the firepower mixed in the left claw was not as strong as before. At this moment, Yu Tuang's eyes, like the shining sun, suddenly burst out a laser with extremely strong penetrating power that passed through Yaoyu's palm. Zizzy, hot smoke rose up. Perhaps because the red-faced Yaoyu had a high fire resistance, Yu Tuang's purgatory aurora did not cut off Yaoyu's claws, but only left 2 ugly scars. Moo, with the extremely angry roar of the red-faced Yaoyu, the shadow of a red giant bull that covered the sky and the sun condensed behind it, and the terrifying overlord's pressure erupted. At the moment when the slow space collided with the Yaoyu's pressure, endless lava fire pillars gushed out from the magma river, and visible space cracks were shattered and torn around. Energy storage. As soon as Chen Wei finished speaking, a dark light emerged from the body of Teodi. Its body quickly grew larger, and a pair of dragon claws covering the sky tightly bound the red-faced Yaoyu in place, and scratched a lot of bloody scars on the opponent's body. Quick battle, finish it directly. Chen Wei, who was surrounded by the glory of the fireproof beads, reminded. The time for opening the beast tower is limited, not to mention that because of the last punishment, he has lost 7 days of accelerated training time. Hearing this, Kailing no longer hesitated and directly released a space mirror crack aimed at the chest of the Yeu. The space crack that opened like a spider web made the Yeu feel like it was hit hard and its body shook greatly. In fact, for the huge Yeu, although the scars left by Yutong and Kailing were troublesome, they could be slowly repaired under the boiling lava. The most disgusting thing was the cunning black dragon that attacked from behind and imprisoned it, absorbing the source power and preventing it from exerting its strength. Melting and exploding 8 directions, the red-faced Yeu shook the sword tightly in his hand, and wisps of red and black flame slowly emerged from the blade, forming a vortex that kept rotating and absorbed a large amount of fire source power like a funnel. As we all know, the upper limit of the strength of the red-faced Yali depends on the quality of the human or beast soul it devours. The stronger the devoured soul, the higher the cultivation level, and the more powerful the Yali can be. The red-faced Yali in the beast refining tower devoured a sword master. You know, in the Middle Ages when martial arts flourished, beast masters were just minor figures at the time. Sword masters who could practice swordsmanship to the point of unity between man and sword and control the sword with their hearts were as powerful as the 6th level kings of the beast control era today. In addition, the body of the red-faced Yali is already strong. Coupled with the incredible realm of swordsmanship, it can perfectly exert its own strength, and it is difficult to find an opponent of the same level. At this moment of dilemma, the furious red-faced Yali directly used the most impressive and powerful sword move in his mind, which was even enough to level mountains and fill the sea. The next second, in Chen Wei's surprised eyes, the flaming sword in the hands of the Yao has become the only focus of the world. A volcanic eruption is ready to go, and the majestic momentum exuding a strong sense of crisis even makes Chen Wei unable to help but move his fingers slightly. It can be imagined that when the red-faced Yao is finished brewing, it must be a terrifying blow that will break the stone. However, Chen Wei has no intention of letting Yao continue to accumulate power. Although the sword art that disappeared in history is powerful, he will not let the red-faced Yao show his strongest skills just to witness it with his own eyes. Chen Wei, Tamed, interrupted, while absorbing the fire source power overflowing from Yaoyu's body. Tamed used his right dragon claw to unfold and merge, and attack the shining hilt of Yaoyu. Buzz, as if an ancient volcano was erupting, a golden light and fire intertwined and condensed, and the blazing sword energy storm crushed in all directions with a red-faced Yao as the center. Boom, the terrifying sword pressure directly swallowed the figures of the 3 pets, and the earth-shaking shockwave even spread to Chen Wei. As the azure dragon badge bloomed with a soft light, the shockwave and the splashing magma within 1 meter of Chen Wei's body were instantly annihilated, but he didn't care. His eyes were always fixed on the sword light that reached the sky and the earth. Roar, a dragon roar that was not sure whether it was painful or comfortable froze the joy on the red-faced Yao's face. Then, in the unwilling eyes of Yao, the dragon claws of Tamed passed through the mighty sword light, not only smashing half of its bull head, but also destroying one of its strongest defensive bull horns. At the same time, Kailing's figure instantly appeared above the Yao's head, and a sharp cold breath came out of her mouth, completely freezing the Yao's head that had reached its limit. As for Yutong, she opened her mouth excitedly, and used the fire-swallowing technique to devour the flames filled with sword light, ignoring the sword light flowing on her body. Boom, the fallen red-faced Yao collapsed in the lava lake, splashing a large area of magma with astonishing temperature. After swallowing the flames, used the holy flame of destiny to take off its fur, Chen Wei tilted his head and glanced at Yutong, whose breath was much weaker. Obviously, unlike the Tamed who relied on defense to hold on and the Kailing who used instant movement to evade, although Yutong's body seemed to have no scars, it could be seen from the breath of falling that it paid a lot of price to take on that sword move. Meow, after digesting all the swallowed flames, Yutong spit out a wisp of silver white, almost invisible holy flame of destiny that fell on its chest. Sizzle, sizzle, as if charcoal was burning, a stream of hazy white smoke overflowed from the body of the red-faced Yao, and then a piece of cowhide about 1 meter long and wide, slightly reddish in color, and soft in texture fell from its body into the magma. Kailing, who had sharp eyes, moved her mind, and the cowhide with a slightly reddish luster drifted in front of Chen Wei with her mind power. Yao skin, a 6th level fire beast resource, which has the effect of devouring souls and plundering skills. How to use: place the Yaoyu skin on a fire beast or human that has just died, and you can plunder skills, talents, to generate a 6th level random fire skill stone, natal talent, that can be learned. Note: using the Yaoi skin to plunder the natal talents of humans will have certain disadvantages, such as emotional loss of control, schizophrenia, and reduced cultivation speed. Chapter 457 The Star Arrives. Using the skin of the Yali to steal skills and talents, what's the difference between this and exploring taboos for evil beast masters? Chen Wei's pupils suddenly shrank. As far as he knew, there had never been a beast master with 2 innate talents in Donghua, but the Yali skin in front of him reminded him that as long as the courage was enough, the innate talent of the beast master could be stolen. The school's top management couldn't be unaware of the role of the Yali skin, Chen Wei murmured. The delusion-breaking spirit eye is limited to his source star cultivation. At present, he can't see through everything, but he can still see the effect of the Yali skin clearly. There are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Zidane University. There may not be a person with such a powerful talent as the delusion-breaking spirit eye, but there must be a slightly inferior spirit eye type talent awakener. This thing is a magical weapon that can change the fate of ordinary people, but for a beast-taming genius, having an extra innate talent that will cause endless troubles is more harmful than beneficial. Chen Wei sighed and put the Yaoi skin in his hand into the star ring. The upper limit of the skills stolen by the Yaoi skin is level 6, and it is estimated that the innate talent that can be copied is not much stronger, and it is completely incomparable to the innate talent that he has awakened. Thinking of this, Chen Wei's interest in the Yaoi skin suddenly decreased a lot. But this is only for Chen Wei. Ordinary people in Donghua who have not awakened their innate talents and beast tamers who are mediocre after their innate talents are awakened probably account for 99% of the total population. Human nature cannot stand the test. Once the news of the Yaoi skin is exposed, I am afraid that a large number of people who are unwilling to be ordinary will go astray, even if this is a road of no return to death. Chen Wei didn't think too much now. After all, such things related to the country are too far away from him. Since the Donghua Beast Taming Association has been able to spread the knowledge that beast masters can only awaken one innate talent deeply into people's minds, it shows that the association and the official control over news such as innate talents to the extreme. The rare beast taming resources, such as the skin of the Yao, may be one of the few exceptions. Meow. Yutong raised her fluffy cat paw and used the tender pads of the paw to smooth the wrinkles between Chen Wei's brows. Seeing this, Kailing's eyes suddenly widened and looked at Yutong angrily. It's okay, I just suddenly remembered something. Chen Wei exhaled a breath of turbid air, no longer guessing in his heart, and tilted his head to look at the transmission channel that appeared in front of him. We should continue to set off. Perhaps because of his increasingly powerful body, Chen Wei now uses space transmission not only without a heavy blow to his head, but can even vaguely sense the increasingly intimate and sticky space power in the void. If I use teleportation frequently in the future, my physique will change, right? Chen Wei looked at the spatial source power swimming in his palm, and this incredible thought suddenly arose in his mind. Soon, the teleportation ended, and a faintly glowing Milky Way dragon across many stars suddenly came into Chen Wei's eyes. How spectacular, looking at the magnificent and beautiful galaxy around him. Chen Wei was a little absent-minded, and even thought of the Milky Way in his previous life. On the contrary, the 3 pets glanced at it calmly and shifted their sights in boredom. The 5th level of inheritance trial, when the world is just opening and the stars are coming, you can pass the level by meditating and practicing for more than 15 minutes. Note, the coming of the stars is both illusory and real. Those who can pass this level with great perseverance can become kings and epics. Hearing the explanation of the spirit of the weapon, Chen Wei couldn't help swallowing his throat, his eyes fixed on the stars in the distance, and a light golden glow appeared in his pupils. He didn't know what the celestial star was, but he could sense the deep danger hidden in this brilliant galaxy through his delusion-breaking spiritual eyes. This level is a personal test. You stay aside and don't make any moves. Wait for me to pass it successfully. After instructing the 3 pets, Chen Wei slowly closed his eyes and began to meditate on the Taiheo Qinglong constellation map. The first minute passed in such a dull manner. Nothing happened, but the more so, the more Chen Wei dared not let down his guard. Boom! The next second, in the doubtful eyes of the 3 pets, the galaxy in the distance began to twist and fluctuate. A huge star suddenly broke away from the orbit of the galaxy and fell heavily towards Chen Wei at an extremely terrifying speed. Yu Tong's hair stood up and she subconsciously blocked Chen Wei. Compared with the vast and boundless celestial star that covered the sky, Yu Tong's body was extremely small at this moment, but the blazing flames on her body and her fearless fighting spirit made Chen Wei, who was doing two things at the same time, think of a moth flying into the fire. A faint light flowed on the sky star. Yu Tong, who was in the front, passed through the empty sky star and landed on the dark ground full of stars. Is it an illusion? It looked behind in surprise, with doubt in its eyes. Following Yu Tong's figure was Kei Ling. She activated the Frost Star Falling skill, condensed a frost star that was relatively small compared to the sky star, but actually huge in size, and fell in the direction of the sky star. However, the same thing happened. The descending sky star not only ignored the Frost Star Falling skill released by Kei Ling, but also ignored Kei Ling herself. Due to the existence of the Die Hard skill, the only pet that did not take action among the three pets was Teodi. It stared at the sky star landing with its eyes, but its body stubbornly stayed in place. What is this? Using mental power to sense the world-destroying star approaching in front of him, Chen Wei's eyes moved slightly, and he forcibly suppressed the panic rising in his heart. However, the approaching heat wave and the whistling shock waves that were visible to the naked eye reminded Chen Wei all the time that if he didn't dodge, he would be dead. Chen Wei gritted his teeth and decided to ignore the attacking Xiangxing. He even closed his perception of the outside world in advance and forced his spirit to concentrate on the practice of Teheo Qinglong too. At the moment when Xiangxing landed, Chen Wei's body stiffened and he felt like he was in a furnace. The terrifying high temperature made him feel that his body was burning. Illusion? This is all an illusion. I can't be ignited by the flames with the fire beads. Chen Wei kept his mind tightly. In such a dangerous environment, his source star began to burst out with dazzling light, and even the Teheo Qinglong to the above the source star space lit up the Kang constellation. Boom! Then, Xiangxing touched Chen Wei's body, and the extreme high temperature burst out. The pain from the depths of his soul not only interrupted his meditation practice instantly, but also made him subconsciously jump up. Hiss! Chen Wei couldn't help but gasp because the pain was so intense. Then he looked at the peaceful galaxy around him, felt a faint pain coming from the source star, and smiled bitterly. So that's how it is, when truth is false, false is true. I couldn't even last 2 minutes in the first test, let alone 15 minutes. Chapter 458, The Red Phoenix Plan. Then Chen Wei tested it several more times. He found that as long as he fell into meditation and practice for 1 minute, a star would fall from the bright galaxy in the sky, which could not be stopped by any means. After several heavy hits by the star, the strength of Chen Wei's source star space increased a little, but the brilliance of the blooming was also dimmed a lot. You must quit the trial and recover after a maximum of 3 more tests, otherwise the source star will be damaged beyond repair. Chen Wei used his mind to sense the faint pain coming from the source star, knowing that this was a sign that the source star was about to be injured. If he tried to break through the level moderately, it would be fine. Even if he failed, the star that destroyed the world could temper his source star's strength in the tempering. If he was stubborn and forced to break through the level and was bombarded continuously, even the arrival of the illusory star would be enough to downgrade his source star or even collapse it. Calm down, you must not meditate and practice before you study it clearly. Chen Wei took a deep breath and tried to calm his brain. Even Teacher Han and Senior Sister Tan were able to pass the 7th level of the inheritance trial, so he couldn't stop at the 5th level of the trial. Chen Wei looked down at the giant long watch on his wrist. Kei Ling, can you meditate on the Teheo Azure Dragon diagram here? Yi. Oh, yes. Kei Ling closed her eyes to meditate, and the stars hanging in the surrounding galaxy suddenly overflowed with strands of source power that flashed with cold light and sank into her body. It seems that the arrival of the heavenly star has no effect on pets, and will only react to the source star of the Beastmaster. In order to confirm the existence of the heavenly star, Chen Wei studied with the pets for 15 minutes until he confirmed his guess. He now has 2 ways to pass the 5th level of the trial. The first is that his source star cultivation is strong enough to ignore the obstacles and damage brought by the arrival of the heavenly star, and force his way through with absolute strength. If he wants to pass this level in this way, his source star cultivation must at least reach the upper level of the 5th level, or even the peak of the 5th level. Obviously, Chen Wei, who was only in the 4th order late stage of the source star at the moment, could not meet this condition at all, and could only choose the second method to improve his spiritual realm. If his spiritual realm was high enough and reached the Yellow Order spiritual realm, he could completely see his true nature and see through the true and false nature of the arrival of the star, and he could completely ignore the arrival of the star and pass the test in one fell swoop. Thinking of this, Chen Wei decided to leave here and go to the Source Star realm, a holy place for cultivation that he had never been to. At the same time, the students outside the Beast Refining Tower were excited because of the replacement of the first current of the Buddha list. You know, in the week when Wang Miatong ranked first on the Buddha list, the students of Zhejiang University were very depressed, and even chose to avoid the students of Cheihurong University when they met on the road, so as not to be ridiculed and show off. As the landlord, they can't even keep the first place. Now, when it is learned that Chen Wei replaced Wang Miatong's ranking and kept the top 5 cards for Zhejiang University, the dormitory area of the school not only rang with cheers from time to time, but even a few very courageous girls chose to express their love in public. While the students of Zhejiang cheered, the luxurious villas of the other 4 famous schools and 8 colleges were silent. Especially the students of Cheihurong University, their faces were full of complexity and bitterness. It has only been a week, and the peerless genius Wang Miatong, who they are proud of, has been caught up by the freshman who is 4 years younger. Who wouldn't collapse? The moment Luo Weiyu learned the news, she was afraid that her own proud daughter would have problems, so she hurried to Wang Miatong's luxurious villa. However, when she walked into the hall, she saw Wang Miatong, who smelled of alcohol, had a slightly red face, and was slightly drunk. Seeing this scene, Luo Weiyu was relieved. Only she knew that Wang Miatong, who was a high-class flower with a cold temperament and stunning appearance in the eyes of Cheihurong students, was actually a drunkard who liked to drink and could not live without alcohol. Upon noticing Luo Weiyu's arrival, Wang Miatong looked up and glanced at her. "Teacher Luo, how did you come?" Luo Weiyu did not answer, but walked to Wang Miatong and forcibly took the gourd-shaped wine pot from her hand. "You can't drink too much dark dew wine. With your current cultivation level, you can only drink 2 cups a day at most. If you want to drink the Qingshuang wine I brought." After saying that, Luo Weiyu took out a bottle of wine pot that exuded a faint chill from the star ring. Qingshuang wine is a 3rd-level spiritual wine brewed by winemakers using various spiritual plants such as warm jade crystal marrow and green spirit grass. It has the effect of refreshing the mind and calming the spirit, and cooling the heart fire. It can be bought on the market as long as you spend money. But dark dew wine is different. As a famous 6th-level top-grade spiritual wine, dark dew wine is a top-grade spiritual wine condensed by master winemakers from the essence of the moonlight of the dark night, and then combined with various precious spiritual plants. It has the effect of whitening bones, strengthening the physique, and treating all hidden injuries and fire poisons in the body. In the eyes of some alcoholics who love alcohol, being able to taste dark dew wine is enough for them to shed blood on the tip of a knife and give up their lives. If it is auctioned at an auction, just a cup of dark dew wine is enough to sell for tens of millions of star coins. In order to suppress the innate talent, Extreme Phoenix Nirvana, in her body that was too powerful and even her body could not bear it, Wang Miatong had to drink 2 cups of dark dew wine every day. The power hidden behind the Wang family can be imagined. You know, the dark dew wine spent by Wang Miatong in a year is equivalent to the entire family property of a 3rd-rate beast-taming family, such as the Yu family where Yu Zilman is. You don't have to worry about me. With Chen Wei's age and the strength shown by the Black Dragon, it is normal for him to surpass me by passing the 4th level of the inheritance trial. Wang Miatong frowned and took a sip of Qingshuang wine. The soft taste made her, who was used to the cold taste of dark dew wine, a little uncomfortable. "Don't deny it. If you really don't care, you wouldn't be full of alcohol," Luo Weiyu complained. Wang Miatong raised her fair and slender neck in dissatisfaction. "It doesn't matter if he stays at the top of the Buddha list for a week. After a week, I will still be the top of the Buddha list. She only needs to use the dark dew wine to mix the source energy for a week, and she can successfully break through the source star from the 5th level to the 5th level, surpassing Shu Hai's and Han Wuguang of the same age, and become the well-deserved first person of the new generation." As for Chen Wei, perhaps his pet is very powerful and can fight across levels, but because of the influence of too short a training time, the source star is not high, and it is absolutely impossible to break through the 5th level of the inheritance trial. Hearing this, Luo Weiyu's face relaxed. She knew very well that Wang Miatong was a man of her word. Very good, if you can reach the top of the Buddha again, I will do my best to help you get the pure world true flame of Master Han. Wang Miatong's eyes lit up. The pure world true flame has never been passed on to others. Since teacher Luo dared to make such a promise, it means that she has a treasure in her hand that can make Master Han change his mind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459 Taking the God Knot. The Source Star Realm is the core of the Beast Refining Tower and also the training ground with the most traffic. In order to improve the efficiency of the level, Chen Wei, who didn't know that he had reached the top, did not save precious credits, but directly spent 15,000 credits to open a training room on the 9th floor for 3 days. Similar to the challenge of the Buddha realm, the location of the training room rented by Chen Wei was random, but the number of floors would be fixed at the 9th floor. Xianzi number 3. This training room that had not seen students for many years and looked dilapidated and desolate finally welcomed a long-lost guest. Perhaps sensing someone coming, an existence on the roof of the training room exuding an ancient and terrifying aura suddenly opened his eyes that had been closed for who knows how many years. The terrifying eyes were like lightning, instantly illuminating the entire dim training room as bright as day. As if feeling that the noise he caused was too loud, this unknown existence opened his mouth. As the space twisted, all the things around it with its breath were swallowed into the mouth that seemed like a space in another world. The next second, when Chen Wei's body appeared in the training room, his eyes went straight to the Yingshi in the middle of the roof, which was emitting a soft glow, with a look of surprise. Could it be discovered? The unknown existence blinked its bright eyes and subconsciously took a few steps back. It couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when it found that the person's sight did not follow its figure. I knew that the invincible Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon would never be discovered by a low-level Beastmaster. Strange, this training room was contracted and sealed by me. How could a Beastmaster come in? Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon quietly looked at the Beastmaster in the distance, who was extremely small but made it feel a little familiar. If I remember correctly, it has probably not seen a human for decades. It must be said that the more I look at this tiny little guy in front of me, the more I like him. Using the rare 10,000-year Yingfei as the lighting tool for the training room, Zidane University is really rich and powerful. The 15,000 credits are worth it. Chen Wei looked at the dazzling Yingfei above his head reluctantly, and forced himself to dispel the copyable idea of packing it away. This 10,000-year Yingfei is the best Yingfei, with a grade of up to the 7th level epic. It has the miraculous effect of suppressing the mind and subduing the external demons. If he can carry it with him, the speed of cultivation will definitely increase dramatically. What a pity. Unable to resist the temptation, Chen Wei chose to shift his gaze and began to look at the empty training room. There is not even a training cushion, which is a bit too much. Feeling a rich source of energy flowing out from the ground, Chen Wei complained and summoned 3 pets from the star ring and the cushion that Bai Luo spent a lot of time weaving with Biksha Heart Bamboo and Narcissus Core Flower, Luo Pad, level 6 beast taming resource. Using this pad to practice can increase the practice speed by 50%. Note, only effective for Beastmasters below the 6th level of the Source Star. It must be said that as a 1,000-year-old radish spirit, Bai Luo not only knows how to plant and pick spiritual medicines, but also has amazing craftsmanship. Although the wooden items made by Bai Luo cannot be strictly considered as source tools, they can perfectly integrate the functions of spiritual plants and achieve the same effect as source tools in some aspects. In order to have 2 more sets of spiritual clothes that are beneficial to cultivation and cultivate Bai Luo's already strong hobby, Chen Wei also downloaded the clothing production tutorial on Bai Luo's mobile phone and agreed to deposit a high-level dragon crystal. If nothing unexpected happens, it will take less than a month for his wardrobe to have 2 more sets of high-level spiritual clothes that ordinary Beastmasters can hardly touch. Don't waste time when I'm practicing, practice well. After saying that, Chen Wei, who was worried, reminded the 3 pets again, remember, don't disturb me while I'm practicing. Hearing this, Teodi glanced in the direction of the illusion-heavy Emperor Dragon with a puzzled look. It should be an illusion. Even the anti-source defense system can't find the existence of life. The tiny breath of the Emperor Dragon in the room should be left by the previous practitioner. It's a close call. I was almost discovered. The illusionary Emperor Dragon shrank subconsciously, and then reacted quickly. No, this is my territory. Why should I be afraid? Although he grumbled, the steady illusionary Emperor Dragon finally shrank in the shadow of Wanyan Yingfei. Chen Wei took a look at the three pets practicing seriously, and sat cross-legged on the Bizunlo mat with confidence, calmed his mind, and began to meditate and practice. As the noisy practice room became silent, the orderly and steady breathing of Chen Wei and the three pets began to sound in the room, leaving only a peeping dragon on the roof silently observing Chen Wei. This observation lasted for a day. Seeing Chen Wei's eyes move slightly, the illusionary Emperor Dragon quickly held his breath. Even he himself didn't know why he was so cautious. It spent a long time from birth to death in the beast refining tower, and there were very few things that could arouse its interest. Apart from the female liar, Chen Wei in the training room made it most curious. Recalling what a female liar did 200 years ago, Huanshuang Emperor Long's calm expression suddenly showed a trace of pain, and even the idea of appearing in front of Chen Wei dissipated a lot, and he only wanted to wait and see. The beast refining tower is worthy of being a holy place for cultivation. In just one day, my source star injury has recovered as before, and my cultivation has improved. Chen Wei opened his eyes, with a touch of satisfaction in his eyes. The teacher's advice was indeed correct. He practiced in the 9th floor training room for 1 day, which was equivalent to practicing in the outside world for 5 days. No wonder the source star cultivation of the old students of Zidian University is ridiculously high. If he can continue to practice in the 9th floor training room for half a year, he will be able to break through the source star to the 5th level. To do this, he must pass the 5th level of the inheritance trial, and even the 6th level, surpassing Wang Miatuang's ranking, so that the first place on the Buddha list will not be shaken within half a year. Thinking of this, Chen Wei, who is in a perfect state, took out a pill from the star ring that made Huanshuang Emperor Long drool. That is the 7th grade top grade elixir, Shinjiden, that can make a beastmaster see through life and death, see the nature of the mind, achieve the yellow grade spiritual realm, and lay the foundation for the road to the king. Looking at the elixir on his palm, Chen Wei's face flashed with solemnity. He did not forget that the teacher once said that the medicinal power of the Shinjiden was magnificent, and those who did not have a strong will and the 5th grade source star cultivation could not take it. In order to maximize the medicinal power, even he had to wait until the peak of the 4th grade source star before trying to take it. Taking it now is still a small step away from the peak of the 4th grade that the teacher said, but with my strong body comparable to that of a king beastmaster, it should not be a problem to perfectly absorb the Shinjiden. Chen Wei did not hesitate and swallowed the Shinjiden on his palm into his stomach in one breath. If he wanted to surpass those talented monsters and the 5 famous old students in the country, he could not do it without paying a little price. Chapter 460 Entering the Spiritual Realm. As the Ji Shendan turned into surging medicinal power flowing through his body, and then rushed from his internal organs into the source star space, Chen Wei felt that his soul seemed to be trembling. The majestic source power seemed to turn on a switch in his brain. In an instant, Chen Wei's mind slowly fell into a state of clarity and unobstructedness, and even his obsession with the inheritance trial in his heart was let go. Buzz! Chen Wei's pupils shrank, and his eyes were a little surprised. This gorilla that suddenly appeared in front of him, except for not being able to play basketball, was not the gorilla Tuan Tuan that he had been feeding in the zoo in his previous life. Chen Wei turned his head and looked behind him. At this time, the sun was scorching, and the hot sun was shining on Tuan Tuan's introduction board. Looking at the square Chinese characters, Chen Wei's eyes flashed with a trace of memory. Yi Kailing's eyes were fixed on Chen Wei's calm face, and a trace of worry passed through her bright golden pupils. 2 days have passed. Since Chen Wei took the elixir, he has been sitting there practicing, and he didn't even eat a mouthful of food or a drop of water. You know, using the source of heaven and earth to replenish the body's consumption and not eating for a short period of time is something that only a 6th level king beastmaster can do. With Chen Wei's current physical fitness, coupled with a rich source of energy in the practice room, he can still bear not eating or drinking for a day or two. If he doesn't eat or drink for a week, he may fall into coma or a state of suspended animation. Kailing raised her dragon claw hesitantly, her expression uncertain. Interrupting at this time will inevitably affect the beastmaster's practice. If he doesn't interrupt, Chen Wei will get deeper and deeper, and his consciousness will become weaker and weaker. At that time, it will be difficult to wake Chen Wei up. At this time, Taote, who remained rational, stepped forward to stop Kai Ling. According to the instructions left by Chen Wei before entering the practice, they need to wake up the Beastmaster before the end of the practice room rental time. And now there are still 5 hours before the end of the practice room on the 9th floor. Meow, calm down. Yutong patted Kai Ling's claws, signaling the big sister to stay calm. This behavior seems calm, but from the slightly anxious look on Yutong's face, it can be seen that it is not so calm in its heart. After all, as time goes by, Chen Wei's breath becomes weaker and weaker, and it is possible to disappear at any time, so that the three pets dare not even blink their eyes now, for fear that Chen Wei's figure will disappear in a blink of an eye. Boom boom boom, Chen Wei's tightly closed eyes moved slightly, as if being pulled by him, and the majestic source power in the training room poured into his body. Seeing this sudden abnormality, the three pets were not surprised but happy, and stood up one after another. They were even afraid that the source power was not sufficient, so they placed the high-level rations that emitted source power in their hands next to Chen Wei. Influenced by this, Chen Wei's eyes that had been closed for 2 days finally opened. The eyes that saw through life and death and saw the nature of the mind attracted the attention of all pets at this moment, including the Huanshuang Emperor Dragon hiding behind Yingfei. What a terrifying human race! It's so easy to reach the yellow spirit realm. The illusionary Emperor Dragon blinked, and for a moment he couldn't tell which one of them was the Emperor race, it or the human in front of him. If it was not mistaken, the human with the friendly temperament was about 19 years old. You don't know until you compare, and you will be shocked. As a spiritual Emperor Dragon, it has worked hard for hundreds of years to reach this realm. Kai Ling, Yutong, Taotai, Chen Wei looked at the three familiar pets in front of him, as if recalling memories. The clear and indifferent look in his eyes suddenly became more lively, and then there was a fear. He didn't expect that the power of the Jishen pill was so strong that it would not only allow his spiritual world to return to his previous life and spend an ordinary life, but also allow him to reincarnate for hundreds of lives to experience all kinds of strange professions and lives. These experiences include, but are not limited to, the first invincible strongman in the ancient times who used the blood of alien beasts to open up the way of physical cultivation. The most evil awakened person in the ancient times, who can transform into a group of dragons and look down on the heroes. In the Middle Ages, there was a master of ancient martial arts who learned from hundreds of schools of thought and created his own martial arts. In the recent ancient times, there was an iron-blooded general who went into battle to kill the enemy, expel strange beasts, and protect his home and country, etc. In that illusory experience of 100 generations, Chen Wei experienced countless life and death battles, faced hundreds of thousands of great terrors between life and death, and finally saw through life and death and understood the key to the yellow-level spiritual realm. Thinking of this, feeling the expansion from the source star, Chen Wei's mind was like a knife, directly shattering the illusory memories in his mind. Then he quickly took out a condensation pill and a key-enhancing pill from the star ring to fill his weak body and prepare for this impact on the 5th level of the source star. Yes, that's right. The condensation pill that Chen Wei swallowed not only allowed his spiritual realm to enter the yellow-level spiritual realm, but even the source star cultivation level was moving from the late 4th level to the peak of the 4th level under the overly powerful drug power. At this moment, he was only one step away from the 5th level of the source star. Without hesitation, Chen Wei began to close his eyes and visualize the Taihao Qinglong diagram. Unlike the difficulties in the past, he now entered the yellow-level spirit realm as if he had divine help. He easily lit up the 2nd star of the Taihao Azure Dragon diagram, Kangsi Changsing, cultivated the Azure Dragon diagram to the 2nd level, and even began to sprint towards the next level. Not only that, Chen Wei also tried to ignite the source star fire, use the star fire to temper the source star, and break through the source star cultivation to the 5th level in one go. However, the next second, the effect of the Jishin pill ended, and an indescribable fatigue suddenly invaded Chen Wei's mind. It's a pity that if the effect of the Jishin pill can last for another half an hour, maybe I can break through to the 5th level. Chen Wei showed a trace of regret on his face, and stopped thinking about igniting. He glanced at the time on his mobile phone, and turned his head to face the three pets who were surprised that their strength had increased due to the feedback of the beast control contract. I'll take a break. Remember to call me in an hour. After saying that, Chen Wei took out 2 energy replenishing pills from his star ring and swallowed them. Then he stopped resisting the excessive fatigue coming from deep in his brain, closed his eyes, and fell into a sweet sleep. Who? The three pets looked at each other and walked to Chen Wei's side lightly. Kailing placed the dragon claw behind Chen Wei's head as a warm pillow. Yutong lay carefully on the Beastmaster's chest. The warm silver hair brought a little warmth, which made Chen Wei's sleeping face more smiling. As for Tamed, it transformed into a mechanical wristband and put it on Chen Wei's arm. There was a clock on the wristband counting down. Obviously, Tamed did not forget Chen Wei's order before going to bed. The dignified Emperor Dragon turned into an alarm clock, ready to wake up the Beastmaster in an hour. Perhaps it was 1 minute, or perhaps it was 10 minutes. Emperor Huanzhong looked at the harmonious, natural and warm scene in front of him, and his eyes revealed a hint of envy that he himself had not noticed. Chapter 461, The Remnant of the Stars. Time flies so fast. Chen Wei rubbed his temples, which were still a little swollen, and couldn't help but stand up and stretch. At this time, feeling the weight in front of him, Chen Wei looked down at Yutong and Kailing who were sleeping on his chest, and then turned his head to look at Tamed who was doing his duty beside him, with a slight smile on his lips. Next, Chen Wei did not use his telekinesis, but stepped on the ground, letting his body defy gravity and float freely in the sky. It's not an illusion. After entering the yellow-level spirit realm, I have mastered the source power control similar to that of a king beastmaster. The source power of heaven and earth that used to be cumbersome to control can now be directed wherever I want with just a thought. Chen Wei flicked his finger, and the surrounding fire source power, under his control, condensed into a small firebomb and attacked the door of the training room. Boom! Looking at the door that was intact, Chen Wei shook his head. Compared with the natal source fire connected to the red cloud flame formation diagram, the attribute attack that is simply stimulated by the source of heaven and earth is simply too weak. This power that controls the source of heaven and earth is okay for bullying weak pets, but it is completely useless against the same level alien beasts. No wonder even the King Beastmaster is unwilling to fight the alien beasts in person, because it is too dangerous. After saying that, Chen Wei opened his palm, and a ball of pure white ice appeared above his palm, and then it broke and gave birth to a dark black ball, and then it changed into a pocket space ball that seemed to contain a piece of heaven and earth. Perhaps because of the beast control contract, the power caused by Chen Wei's manipulation of the attribute source of gold, water, earth, thunder, etc. is completely incomparable to the power of the attribute source that matches the attributes of the three pets. At this time, feeling the two pets' bodies tremble slightly, it is obvious that they have woken up long ago, but just pretended to sleep and stayed in his arms, and Chen Wei showed a sly smile at the corner of his mouth. He stretched out his right hand to scratch Kailing and Yutong's chin, making them smile and open their eyes. After the fight, Chen Wei tapped the screen in the training room with his fingertips and chose to check out and pass the level. Leaving? It's good to leave. Looking at Chen Wei's disappearing figure, the Phantom Emperor Dragon smacked his lips, lowered his head, and chose to fall into deep sleep day after day as usual, but this time it couldn't fall asleep. In the 5th level of the inheritance trial, Chen Wei came to this place that impressed him again. I hope my guess is right. Chen Wei looked up at the stars hanging high in the sky, concentrated his mind and began to meditate according to the content of the trial. A minute later, the huge star that covered the sky and the sun arrived as promised, and fell towards Chen Wei's head with a fierce momentum. Wherever the star passed, everything along the way was evaporated and annihilated. Facing this terrifying scene of the collapse of the sky and the earth, Chen Wei didn't even raise his eyes, as if the descending star was just a fragile gravel. Boom! The star fell to the ground, and a shining flame halo overflowed from the ground where Chen Wei was, just like a nuclear bomb explosion. At this moment, a mushroom cloud covered with smoke and dust rose from the surface. Being in the center of the explosion, the flames were boiling all around. Chen Wei was not panicked, but gave people a feeling of seeing through everything and being contented. His guess was correct. As long as the spiritual realm of the challenger entered the yellow spiritual realm, he could ignore the damage caused by the star. It would not be like the previous challenge, where the shock wave of the star's arrival made him dizzy. His eyes were full of stars, and there was even a risk of the source star being downgraded. However, there are pros and cons. While Chen Wei ignored the damage of the star, he also found that the original source star's strengthening effect of the trial had disappeared. 15 minutes later, the stars that fell like raindrops all dissipated, and Chen Wei successfully passed the level. Next, In Chen Wei's curious eyes, a bright light fell from the starry river, and he quickly reached out to catch it. Heavenly Star Remnant Glow, a 6th level top-grade galaxy beast resource. It is said that a star is a small world, and the Heavenly Star Remnant Glow is the last ember of a small world. How to use: place the Heavenly Star Remnant Glow on the head of a pet that is compatible with the galaxy, and you can add an additional rare galaxy attribute to the pet. For pets that already have star attributes, the attribute compatibility will be greatly improved. Note: pets that are extremely incompatible with the galaxy have a certain chance of their magic cores shattering and exploding to death. After observing the information with the delusion-breaking spirit eyes, Chen Wei hurriedly put the brilliance in his hand into the star ring and kept it properly. As the saying goes, time is respected and space is king. As a special source of power, the galaxy is not as rare as the time system and space system, which are rare once in a lifetime. It can only be compared with a dark system, light system and dragon system, but it is also a powerful attribute that transcends the 5 elements. Therefore, although the level of Xiangxing Kanhu is only level 6, in terms of actual value and potential role, it can definitely keep pace with a level 7 epic beast resources, or even slightly exceed it. What's the difference between this pagoda and the boy who sends money? Chen Wei sighed, and then asked the spirit of the beast tower about his current ranking. Your current total ranking is 1150, and you are ranked first in the pagoda list. Current term. Chen Wei nodded slightly, and had a new understanding of the wealth of Zidane University. Even if we calculate it at the minimum, from ancient times to the present, Zidane University must have sent out at least 1150 level 6 resources, plus the resources given by the 3rd and 4th levels of the previous trial. This is undoubtedly a wealth that even a small country would be moved by. But the reality is actually different from what Chen Wei imagined. Not all challengers can get such a generous reward like him. The pagoda will classify the challenger's qualifications according to various factors such as the challenger's age, cultivation, and pet potential. The higher the qualification of the challenger, the higher the reward he will get after successfully passing the level. Chen Wei was rated as a genius by the Beast Refining Tower, so that he could get the top reward every time he passed the level. If the rewards for each challenger were the same, I'm afraid this Beast Refining Tower would have closed down long ago because it couldn't make ends meet. However, Chen Wei, who was not aware of this, stepped into the transmission channel through the 6th level of the trial with full expectations. Yes, after breaking through the 5th level of the trial, Chen Wei did not intend to stop, but wanted to challenge his own limits and catch up with his teacher and senior sister. In addition, part of the reason was that after the inheritance trial was over, he would start a long period of retreat. In order to avoid being caught up with the first place in the Buddha and losing the free qualification for the 9th floor training room of the Buddha Tower, Chen Wei needed to pull out a larger ranking gap so that the latecomers could only look up and be unable to catch up. Therefore, Chen Wei set his goal on the 7th level of the trial with the same ranking as his teacher. At this time, the transmission ended, a strong light burst out, and a deafening thunder roared, causing Chen Wei to subconsciously open his eyes. In the distance, an ancient forest with thunder and lightning was exuding a mysterious atmosphere. Chapter 462 Swallowing Thunder Dragon. Chen Wei stood at the entrance of the thunder forest, watching the arcs flowing and flickering on the dark iron trees, with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Such a rich source of thunder. I didn't expect that the Beast Refining Tower could still manifest a Luoxan Leyland that had been extinct in the Middle Ages. Wood is afraid of thunder and fire. Except for a very small number of spiritual plants that can withstand the destructive power of thunder, most spiritual plants will be destroyed by the thunder of heaven and earth. Even if life undergoes a transformation and transforms from a spiritual plant to a plant-based pet, it will still instinctively stay away from the place where the thunder lands, and Luoxan Leyland is one of the very few outliers. As a spiritual plant of both wood and thunder, its rank is as high as the 7th epic level, which is an extremely rare treasure for body forging. Luoxan Leyland can not only withstand the destructive power of thunder, but sometimes even actively attract thunder to accelerate its own growth. But because Luoxan Leyland can only live in places where thunder bombards all year round, coupled with the excessive picking by martial artists in the Middle Ages, there is no trace of Luoxan Leyland in Donghu country today. If I remember correctly, where the falling immortal thunder forest grows, there are usually thunder-dominated real dragons, thunder forest dragon, living there. Thinking of this, Chen Wei patted Teoti's head, signaling it to turn on the anti-source defense system and move towards the thunder forest. Boom! Perhaps due to the influence of magnetism, the thunder wrapped around the falling immortal thunder forest began to riot as soon as Tamed walked into the forest filled with strong light, and thousands of lightning bolts like silver dragons fell rapidly. However, before these dense thunders spread to Chen Wei, Tamed used energy storage to block and absorb them. "Can you hold on?" Feeling the increasingly strong thunder power around him, Chen Wei looked at the lightning flashing in the eyes of Tamed Dragon and asked softly. "I can hold on for an hour," Tamed answered truthfully. The thunder power gathered in this forest is extremely majestic, and the power of the electric current that overflows is extremely amazing. Even though it has the protection of the legendary domain, it can only move forward cautiously to avoid triggering the entire thunder forest. "Can we use this thunder power to practice?" Chen Wei conveyed his thoughts. The infinite evolution of Tamed does not require high attributes of the source power. As long as it is source power, it can absorb it. Perhaps it can improve its thunder resistance by swallowing the thunder power. Tamed stretched out its dragon claws and tried to promote infinite evolution in a small range. The thunder that permeated the surroundings seemed to have found its home and sank into its dragon claws at a terrifying speed. "Pay attention to absorbing the source power moderately, and don't let us be driven out by the beast refining tower spirit again." After instructing Tamed, Chen Wei turned his attention to the reminder sound of the instrument spirit ringing in his ears. The 6th level of the trial: defeat the Thunder Dragon, or get the Thunder Dragon's recognition, and obtain a Thunder Fruit to pass the level. Note: in the Thunder Forest, the Thunder Dragon can mobilize the thunder power stored in the forest on a large scale, greatly increasing its strength. Sure enough, there is a Thunder Dragon here. Chen Wei looked at the dragon claw prints in the distance, which were about 5 meters long and wide, and about half a meter thick, and his heart sank suddenly. According to the records of the beast taming Atlas, the length of a true dragon is about 15 times the length of its claw prints, and the Thunder Dragon happens to be a smaller dragon species among the dominant true dragon species. The Thunder Dragon that has entered its maturity is generally about 100 meters long. Obviously, from the surrounding footprints, it can be seen that the Thunder Dragon that lives in the Thunder Forest is about 75 meters long, and is basically about to leave the growth period and enter the mature period of peak strength. Level 6? Or level 5, just as Chen Wei was thinking, a domineering dragon might that he had never felt before spread out from the depths of the forest. "Oh no, it really is a real dragon at the level 5, Chen Wei sighed helplessly. The next second, the dragon might released from the depths of the Thunder Forest suddenly surged. A huge, aggressive purple dragon spread its wings and swung its huge body in front of Chen Wei. Sitting on the back of Tamed, Chen Wei looked at the dragon in front of him with a single horn on its head, sparse fangs, and lightning bursting on both sides of its head, and fell into silence. What an ugly Thunder Dragon. Name of pet: Thunder Dragon. Attributes of pet: Thunder Dragon. Racial level: Epic Overlord. Strength level: Peak of the 5th order upper position. Racial skills: Thunderbolt, Thunder Dragon Fang, Thunder Dragon Armor, Sky Shaking Thunder, Wild Dance Thunder Destruction, Overlord Pressure. Introduction of pet: Thunder Dragon will live in the place where the falling immortal Thunder Dragon grows, and when its bloodline grows to its peak, it will swallow the fruit bred by the falling immortal Thunder Dragon into its stomach and successfully break through to the 7th order. It is a rare dragon species that is bound to become a 7th order overlord. Leave this place, or don't blame me for being rude. The Thunder Dragon examined Chen Wei twice, and spit out a fierce lightning from its mouth, turning the ground 2 meters in front of Chen Wei into charred black. Roar! Tamed raised his head, and the vast dragon power burst out, staring at the Thunder Dragon, and his momentum was not inferior. The alert swallowing Thunder Dragon didn't know that because of this demonstration, it successfully attracted the hatred of Kai Ling, Yu Tong, and Tao Tai. "Give me a Thunder Fruit, and I'll turn around and leave," Chen Wei negotiated. The 5th level upper peak, only one step away from entering the 6th level Overlord True Dragon, is extremely powerful, and this is the home court of the Swallowing Thunder Dragon. If there is a negotiation, Chen Wei intends to use courtesy before force, even if the other party is actually just a materialized illusion. "Human, you are looking for death?" Hearing this, the Swallowing Thunder Dragon's anger rose, and huge thunders that reached the sky and the earth flashed behind it with thunder. The Thunder Fruit is the most precious treasure of the Swallowing Thunder Dragon clan, and the key to the door to the 7th level Overlord. To a certain extent, Chen Wei's act of snatching the Thunder Fruit represents a deadly feud with the Swallowing Thunder Dragon clan, and it will not stop until death. Has the negotiation failed? It seems that the affinity of dancing with dragons is not very effective in the beast refining tower. Looking at the violent thunder roaring like a giant dragon, Chen Wei touched the colorful spirit on his shoulder calmly. The 5th level upper peak swallowing thunder dragon is indeed very strong. Even some 6th level exotic beasts with lower race levels will be crushed by it. 1 against 1, 3 pets may not be the opponent of the swallowing thunder dragon. But if there is no martial ethics and 3 against 1, Chen Wei still has some confidence in winning. Ice sealed absolute domain plus frost falling embers, the colorful spirit flew forward, and the biting cold air burst out. This forest, which is covered by thunder all year round and has a high temperature, has snowed for the first time, ushering in an unprecedented ultra-low temperature. It's useless, human, this is my territory. As the roar of the swallowing thunder dragon sounded, thunders as thick as water tanks continuously bombarded the ice and snow field condensed by the colorful spirit, greatly reducing the scope of the field. Chapter 463, Terrifying Thunder Dragon. Everyone, activate the Holy Dragon Coil. This thunder dragon is very strong. If we don't do our best, it will be difficult for us to win. Chen Wei looked at the frost field that was retreating around him and commanded with his mind. Although the pets contracted by Chen Wei have more potential than each other, they are still limited by the current strength of the 3 pets, and their attacks are still difficult to hurt the thunder dragon. Especially Kei Ling, who has the lowest racial level, can't even participate in the battle if she is not allowed to use the Holy Dragon Coil. With a surge in strength, boom, a flash of lightning. To capture the thief first, the thunder dragon, who knew that Chen Wei was the leader, turned into lightning, raised his thunder-covered dragon claws, and fell heavily on Chen Wei's head. Yutong, Chen Wei's pupils shrank, used the Flame Emperor impact, Yutong jumped hard, and the blazing light golden flames rose from its body surface, forming a sea of fire with a temperature high enough to distort space. Then Yutong's figure suddenly hit the attack trajectory of the thunder dragon. Boom, Chen Wei only felt a thunderclap in his ears, and then a warm fireball hit his chest. He lowered his head, and in his arms was Yutong, who was crushed by the powerful force after the battle with the thunder dragon, and her body retreated like a cannonball. Yi, Kei Ling's eyes flickered, and the invisible telekinesis almost offset most of the strong impact on Yutong. Otherwise, Chen Wei would have to spit out a mouthful of blood after taking this blow. At this time, the Teoti, which had recovered its 100-meter body, was wrestling with the thunder dragon. First, the Teoti scratched the thunder with one claw and grabbed the dragon scales of the thunder dragon fiercely, making a harsh metallic sound, and then the thunder dragon swung its tail and wrapped around the Teoti's neck. The battle between the two giants only slightly overflowed a little aftermath, and the younger fallen immortal thunder dragon in the thunder forest was shattered and annihilated, causing the thunder dragon to raise its head and roar with pain. What a fast thunder dragon! Chen Wei looked at the thunder dragon that was gradually suppressing Teoti with burning eyes. If it weren't for the excellent insight provided by the delusion-breaking spirit eyes, he probably wouldn't be able to see the ridiculously exaggerated attack speed of the thunder dragon. To be honest, if he hadn't pushed Teoti's defense to the limit and temporarily ignored the thunder dragon's thunder, Teoti might have been defeated long ago. Don't worry about me, both of you come together. Chen Wei glanced at the space transmission ring on his finger and took the initiative to remind. Kei Ling, use the slow space to suppress the opponent. Yutong, use the flame dragon to increase your strength. After speaking, Kei Ling used instant teleportation to move above the thunder dragon. As the dark slow space appeared, the world suddenly became quiet, and the extremely strong gravity pressed down the head of the thunder dragon in an instant. There's a flaw. Teoti's eyes lit up, and the dragon claws with black light flashing on his fingertips tore through the space. Under Chen Wei's expectant gaze, the all-piercing assault directly drew a 10-meter-long blood mark on the thunder dragon. Unfortunately, this attack only broke the thunder dragon's dragon scale defense, but did not penetrate its flesh. Chen Wei shook his head and commanded, Yutong, seize the opportunity and use the purgatory aurora to smash its eyes. Kei Ling, use the eternal frost seal to continue suppressing the opponent. As Chen Wei's voice fell, a series of extremely cold storms suddenly descended, pinning the thunder dragon who tried to resist and fight back in place. Kaz, looking at the thunder dragon's body on the verge of breaking and the ice that was almost unable to be imprisoned, Chen Wei tilted his head to look at Yutong. I saw a dazzling laser streaking across the sky and heavily bombarding the thunder dragon's eyes. Did it succeed? Chen Wei stared closely at the thick smoke and dust produced by the purgatory aurora. Roar! At this time, the forest with lightning seemed to feel the anger of the thunder dragon, and a purple thunder with a diameter of tens of meters fell towards its body. Under the cover of thunder, the horn on the head of the thunder dragon began to fork and lengthen, and the muscles of the strong limbs expanded greatly. Even 2 illusory thunder wings grew on its back, forming 3 pairs of dazzling and electric dragon wings. We must not let Kailing or Yu Tong take the attack of the thunder dragon head-on. Chen Wei looked at the thunder dragon whose appearance had changed drastically, and noticed the terrifying energy hidden in its thunder dragon wings. His eyes narrowed slightly and his mind was transmitted. Tamed, use all your strength to prepare the dark dragon cannon. I will let Kailing and Yu Tong help you delay time. Hearing the order, Tamed subconsciously stepped back dozens of steps to prevent the opponent from interrupting the skill casting. Then, the blood-red dragon horn on its head exuded a terrifying breath. A vast energy that makes people shudder and even dare not look directly at it slowly brews in its open bloody mouth. Thunderbolt, sensing the approaching danger, one of the thunder dragon wings behind the thunderbolt dragon suddenly disappeared. Boom! Tamed, who was standing in place and preparing to cast a skill, was hit hard by a dark lightning. The lightning accumulated in the thunder forest was instantly detonated, and the overwhelming thunder sounded continuously. So fast, there is no chance to stop it. Seeing the earth collapse and spread, the electric current kept flashing, and a lightning gullet with a length of nearly 1,000 meters was drawn on the ground, and Chen Wei's pupils shrank. If he was not mistaken, the speed of the thunderbolt dragon just now almost exceeded the instant movement, reaching a speed that even the breaking delusion spirit eye could not see clearly. So fast, how is it possible? The sudden reversal of the battle situation made Kailing and Yu Tong's faces change drastically. They subconsciously burst out at speed to appear near Chen Wei to guard, so as to prevent the thunder dragon from repeating the same trick in attacking their own beastmaster. The heavy breathing blew away the thick fog, and only 5 thunder dragon wings were left on its back. The thunder dragon, which was carrying a strong sense of oppression, immediately came into Chen Wei's sight. Could the explosion just now be repeated 3 times? Chen Wei frowned. The reason why Chen Wei thought so was because one of the thunder dragon wings disappeared after the thunder dragon exploded. Excluding the dragon wings that existed naturally, there were still 3 illusory dragon wings condensed by the thunder source power behind it. Speed is power. With the speed of the thunder dragon's previous explosion, except for Kailing who could use instant teleportation to evade irregularly, Tamed and Yu Tong were completely unable to react. Release the slow space one last time. Chen Wei, who was in harmony with his mind and spirit, did not ask whether Kailing's source power was enough, but gave the order directly. Without Kailing as the main force to contain this trial, it would be very difficult to win. Kailing's eyes flashed with a trace of solemnity, and the crystallized dragon blood in her body that was about to dissipate condensed again under her strong willpower. At the same time, in the ravine covered with thunder and lightning and shrouded in smoke and dust, a ray of extremely dangerous black light was slowly taking shape. Chapter 464,000 Thunder Phantom Body. Barring tricks, the Thunder Dragon did not shift its attention to Chen Wei, but glanced disdainfully at the deep ravine in the distance where the electric current was flashing. Among the 3 pets, only the legendary Tamed made it feel a strong threat. As for the other 2 pets, although they showed good strength, they were not taken seriously by it. Sky-shaking thunder and lightning, the Thunder Dragon was like the ancient thunder god descending to the world. As its source power burst out, arcs on its body surface kept flashing, and violent lightning condensed and brewed in the sky, and then quickly cut through the space. The vast world was illuminated by the dazzling lightning at this moment. Boom boom boom, under Chen Wei's astonished gaze, 9 consecutive thick thunders fell towards the deep ravine where Tamed fell. With the sound of a huge explosion, the hazy water vapor submerged everything, and countless hot and fiery red rocks splashed everywhere and penetrated the trunks of the surrounding trees. Even the rocks in the center of the gully were crystallized due to the extreme high temperature of the thunder, emitting a brilliant light. Feeling the dissipation of the legendary aura, the Thunder Dragon slowly turned his head and looked at Chen Wei. In the Thunder Forest, even if there was a 6th-level king beast attacking, the Thunder Dragon was confident that it could kill it, not to mention the 3 beasts in front of it that were not even 6th-level kings. It's difficult. Chen Wei looked at the crystallized ground with fear. He didn't expect the Thunder Dragon to be so sensitive that even the fact that Tamed pretended to be defeated and hid in the dark to activate the Dark Dragon Cannon was discovered in advance. Burn the Dragon Crown? Hearing this, Yutong did not hesitate to create a constantly burning Dragon King crown above the crystallized gully, trying to treat the Tamed who was trapped deep underground and seriously injured. Yes, that's right. In front of the thunder that can break everything and represents the might of heaven, even the impeccable defense of the Tamed could not be perfectly offset, and it was even severely damaged. After all, the Tamed is still a quasi-emperor race. Its strength of the lower level of the Third Order can bully the Fifth Order King race beast. When the difference in race level is not big enough, it is still too weak compared with the Overlord race, the Swallowwing Thunder Dragon, which has the advantage of home court and is as strong as the Fifth Order upper peak. Goodbye, ants. Dance with thunder? The Swallowwing Thunder Dragon raised its head high, and the thunder field behind it instantly expanded and began to resonate with a vast thunder forest. Chen Wei looked at the exaggerated thunder coverage area in the distance, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. What Fifth Order upper peak? With the blessing of the thunder forest, the thunder released by the Swallowwing Thunder Dragon at this time actually has some of the power of Bailuo when he shot. It was a terrifying blow that could kill the Sixth Order beast in seconds. What ants? Tamed, Keiling, Yutong, let it see our full strength. Hearing the domineering declaration from the Thunder Dragon, Chen Wei commanded with his mind. Keiling was not to be outdone, and the destructive ice source power gathered in its body. And a permanent frost aura that could completely freeze everything and was the ultimate ice power burst out. In order to release this all-out attack, Keiling almost exhausted her source power and broke away from the Holy Dragon's entanglement. Meow, Yutong, who was despised, roared, and the terrifying high temperature filled the world, and a dazzling pillar of fire shot up into the sky. As if squeezing out all the source power in the body, 8 silver flames that people dared not look directly at lit up on the outside of the vast and mysterious wheel of destiny behind Yutong, emitting a supreme aura of the sun. Then, the light column accumulated by the wheel of fortune burst out with a strong light. The unstoppable silver light column cut through the sky and earth, and roared towards the Thunder Dragon in the sky with the ever-first ceiling of Keiling. But this is far from over. Deep in the ravine, the Tamed, who was wrapped in lightning and moving slowly, opened his mouth, obviously paralyzed by electromagnetics, and used the energy storage skill to transform the absorbed thunder source power into the energy for brewing the Dark Dragon Cannon. Buzz, a dark and deep energy sphere emitting endless darkness suddenly appeared in the Taode's open mouth. Not enough, the data flow in the Taode's eyes surged rapidly, and then the mouth swallowed, and the volume of the black energy ball in the mouth increased again. In the blink of an eye, the Dark Dragon Cannon brewed in the mouth of the Tamed soared from tens of meters in diameter to hundreds of meters. Under this terrifying blow, its body of 100 meters seemed particularly small. Such a big noise instantly attracted the attention of the Thunder Dragon. Feeling the energy hidden inside the Dragon Cannon, its expression could not help but become serious. For the Thunder Dragon, whose defense ability was not outstanding, this attack comparable to that of a 6th-level king beast would be enough to make it lose most of its combat power if it hit completely. However, as a dragon species famous for its speed and strength, as long as the Thunder Dragon is on guard, this kind of large-scale attack will definitely not hit it. Thunder Dragon Armor. The Thunder Dragon lowered the long-accumulated dancing thunder destruction while using the illusory thunder to condense into a substantial lightning armor on its body surface. But under the observation of Chen Wei's delusion-breaking spiritual eyes, everything the Thunder Dragon did was seen by him. As if the attack was in vain, the skills released by the 3 pets suddenly changed direction when they attacked the Thunder Dragon. The Eternal Destruction Domain released by Keiling first exploded hundreds of meters away from the Thunder Dragon. However, what was strange was that another Thunder Dragon suddenly appeared in the void where the azure ice crystals and thunder intertwined. Impossible. The Thunder Dragon's eyes showed a look of horror. Its hidden talent skill, Thousand Thunder Illusion Body, can silently create an avatar that is exactly the same as its original body, and hide its original body in the lightning flowing in the void, so that it can launch an unexpected attack on its opponent at any time and anywhere. In these years, most creatures that dared to invade the Thunder Forest and covet the Thunder Fruit have fallen under its Thousand Thunder Illusion Body. I didn't expect that there would be a Beastmaster who could see through this trick. The battle-hardened Thunder Dragon reacted very quickly. With a flick of its tail, It wanted to release the thunder flash and rush out of this ever-first domain that made it feel uncomfortable and restrained at the fastest speed. Kazi kazi, a sound of frost freezing came, and the thunder dragon's expression changed slightly, and it subconsciously looked at its body covered with frost. With its strength, this level of ice can be removed in just 1 to 2 seconds. But at this critical moment, let alone freezing for 1 second, even freezing for 0.5 seconds would be enough to make it miss the opportunity. Thinking of this, Thunder Dragon widened his eyes, looking at the rapidly approaching silver light column reflected in his pupils, and behind the silver light column, the terrifying dark dragon cannon. Chapter 465, Leyland's Country. Then go to hell. A fierce look flashed in the eyes of the thunder-swallowing dragon. If you can't dodge, don't dodge. Although the physical strength of the thunder-swallowing dragon family is slightly weaker than that of the overlord of the same level, it is not inferior to the beasts of the king race under the continuous strengthening of thunder. As long as the wild dance of thunder and destruction falls, no creature will survive in the thunder forest except it. Boom! In an instant, the 3 thunder dragon wings behind the thunder-swallowing dragon dissipated, and the wild dance of thunder and destruction was brewed. The next second, Chen Wei's sight was drowned by the overwhelming thunder and light, and terrifying arcs fell one after another. Fortunately, Keiling reacted quickly enough and swallowed the pill to restore the source of power in time. She moved to the side of Yutong and Taode in an instant, trying to move them all around Chen Wei. However, the whistling thunder was too swift, and the 3 pets, who were exhausted, had not had time to teleport away before the terrifying arcs of power had already fallen. At the critical moment, Taode turned over, relying on its strong defense, and protected Keiling and Yutong under its body, intending to use the power of one dragon to bear the damage of the thunder for its teammates. Chen Wei looked in the direction of the 3 pets with a little worry. If he hadn't known that there would be no death of pets in the inheritance trial, he would have rushed to the 3 pets long ago. Being anxious will only make things worse. Using the yellow-level spirit realm to suppress his inner impatience, Chen Wei lightly touched the blue dragon badge on his chest with his fingertips, and it suddenly bloomed with unprecedented brilliance. A layer of defense shield that seemed weak but was actually difficult to break suddenly formed, completely covering him. Roar! At the same time, a shrill dragon roar resounded through the sky, and the fate punishment released by Yutong directly pierced the left forelimb of the thunder-swallowing dragon, leaving a huge charred wound. Obviously, this fateful punishment did not trigger a critical hit, otherwise the thunder dragon would not only lose a dragon claw, but also lose its entire forelimb, or even most of its body. Then, in the horror of the thunder dragon, a more powerful force, condensing all the power into one point, as if the dark dragon cannon that could annihilate everything came into its sight. The raging thunder lasted for about 3 minutes. When the strong light dissipated and the thunder stopped, Chen Wei opened his eyes, and all he could see was the desolate lands and the broken, burning trees that fell to the ground. Fortunately, it's okay. Feeling the close connection in the beast control contract, Chen Wei finally let go of his worry. Then he looked at a dark mountain in the distance, and sensing the familiar connection, he exerted force on his feet and sprinted quickly. After moving a large number of boulders in front of him, Chen Wei patted the black crystal-like dragon scales. Wake up! Seeing that Taode had not responded at all, as if he had fallen into an endless sleep, Chen Wei thought about it and directly urged the power of the dragon control to strengthen. If you want to wake up the foodie, you can't use ordinary methods, as expected. Chen Wei's palm ramp with the power of the dragon just touched the body of Taode, and it suddenly shuddered and raised its huge head excitedly. Seeing Taode's eyes quickly return from excitement to lifeless dragon eyes, Chen Wei smiled slightly, threw the pill in his hand into its mouth, and then bent down to check the status of Keiling and Yutong. There are no serious injuries, just exhaustion and coma. Chen Wei breathed a sigh of relief, and then patted Taode's head. Thank you for your hard work. At this moment, a thunderous roar suddenly sounded from afar. How is it possible? Chen Wei's face changed slightly, and he subconsciously looked in the direction where the sound came from. Yutong's Destiny Sanction and Taode's Dark Dragon Cannon are both terrifying skills that are enough to kill the 5th-level Overlord Real Dragon. What's more, the strength of the Thunder Dragon manifested by the Beast Refining Tower is slightly inferior to the original version. Coupled with Keiling's Eternal Frost Seal, the Thunder Dragon that took 2 big moves should have no chance of survival. Roar! At this moment, the dragon scales above the chest of the Thunder Dragon were all burnt and fell off, and the dragon wings and tail behind it were quietly broken, bleeding. Even the dragon claws on the extremely strong left forelimb and right hind foot disappeared without a trace. Every time it took a breath, the hot heart exposed in its chest would be exposed to Chen Wei's eyes. A situation where both sides will suffer losses. Looking at the thunder dragon that was almost dying but still had some power left, Chen Wei frowned. At this time, Kailing and Yutong fell into coma and could not fight anymore. Although the remaining Teoti had woken up, his internal energy was exhausted and he could not even release a single skill. Is it only me left? Chen Wei covered his rapidly beating heart with his hand and clenched his fist. For an excellent beastmaster, the loss of combat power of a pet does not mean the end of the battle. As long as the will is strong enough, the power of the beastmaster himself may become the last straw to reverse the situation. Go to hell, the thunder dragon roared vaguely and rushed towards Chen Wei at the fastest speed. In an instant, thunder roared, and the shock wave brought by the thunder dragon's charge alone caused the ground hundreds of meters around Chen Wei to begin to sink. Fire fist! Almost at the moment when Chen Wei's fist ignited the flames, the thunder dragon opened its ferocious mouth, and a violent and suffocating thunder dragon tooth cut through the space, aiming directly at Chen Wei's head. Chen Wei did not retreat. As the saying goes, the brave wins when they meet on a narrow road. After experiencing 100 reincarnations, he is not as afraid of death as before. When the thunder dragon tooth almost tore Chen Wei's arm, he activated the tyrant dragon secret record, ignoring the paralysis caused by the flashing arc on his body, and put away his right fist and hit the thunder dragon's heart with force. With the scorching flames rising into the sky, the thunder dragon, which was too seriously injured and slow to react, could only stare blankly at Chen Wei's arm piercing its heart. Is this the feeling of a dragon bloodbath? Feeling the hot dragon blood sprinkled on his face, Chen Wei did not retreat but advanced, and swung his retracted right fist again. The fist wind visible to the naked eye directly knocked the overlord dragon, which was more than 70 meters tall, several meters away. Buzz! The thunder dragon with a broken heart instantly turned into little light and dissipated between heaven and earth. It was close, just a little bit. Chen Wei took a deep breath, and then stretched out his palm to catch the fruit condensed by the light. Fruit of Thunder, weak, a 7th level epic resource, a spiritual fruit that can only be born from the king plant, where many fallen immortal thunder rains gather and grow. Eating it can make the thunder dragon bloodline evolve and enter the 7th level emperor. The thunder fruit contains some of the power of creation and destruction. There is a 50% chance that the blood of the alien beast that swallows the fruit will evolve into a king race, and a 1 in a million chance of becoming a thunder-dominant race. Note, because the fruit has existed for too long and its medicinal power has been lost, the thunder fruit can only exert half of its effect at present. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466, Stop at the 7th level. Unfortunately, only half of the medicinal power is left. Chen Wei raised his eyebrows slightly, thinking in his heart. The diameter of the leland fruit in his palm is about 5 centimeters, the skin is purple-brown, and it is inlaid with blue and purple scaly calyx, exuding a vigorous breath like thunder. The only drawback is that it has been preserved for too long, causing the leland fruit, which should have been firm and elastic, to look a little wrinkled now. Chen Wei hesitated for a moment, accelerated the flow of the source power in his body, dyed his light golden pupils into dazzling golden light, and tried to see the specific age of the leland fruit. 1,000 years? No, far more than 10,000 years. Chen Wei shook his head, and he became more and more curious about the existence of the pagoda. He couldn't see the specific age of the leland fruit, but he knew that this fruit had been around for at least tens of thousands of years. You have to know that high-level spiritual plants like Luox and Leland usually have a short maturity period. If no one picks the fruit after it is produced, it will fall off and fall to the ground in at most 5 days. Even if the pharmacist uses special tools to pick and preserve the fruit, the vitality of the leland fruit can only be maintained for about 10 years at most. If the age is longer, there is a risk of a significant loss of medicinal power. Only the legendary medicine saint can have such an amazing method to make the leland fruit last for 10,000 years without decaying. If I pass the inheritance trial, I won't be able to obtain the inheritance of the medicine saint. Thinking of this, Chen Wei was suddenly shocked, and even the leland fruit in his hand didn't smell very fragrant. Roar, do you want to go? At this time, Tamed raised his head and pointed with his dragon claws at the transmission channel that appeared in front of him. Don't worry, take a rest first. Chen Wei, who came to his senses, urged the power of the dragon with both hands and pressed it directly on the unconscious K-Ling and Yutong. 5 minutes later, Yutong woke up first, followed by K-Ling with a hint of bloodshot eyes. It seems that I have to find time to strengthen K-Ling's bloodline. Chen Wei's eyes moved slightly. Although the Jiaolong led by Zhao Ran is very strong, it is still inferior to Yutong's Taote, so K-Ling now only has the function of controlling the field. According to the evolution plan set earlier, K-Ling needs to break the limit and evolve into a king race without relying on dragon essence. When he finishes his retreat and improves K-Ling's strength to the 4th order middle position, it may be time to use the dragon blood fruit. After resting for about half a day, seeing that the 3 pets have recovered, Chen Wei strode towards the transmission channel. Now that we are here, it would be unreasonable not to see the 7th level of trial that the teacher and the senior sister have passed. Buzz, with a dizzy spin, a medicine hall with a snow-white exterior wall and a magnificent dome, mainly blue and white tones, and golden decorations, with clear primary and secondary, and a staggered shape, suddenly came into Chen Wei's sight. Is this the fragrance of Bodhi spirit mist? Smelling the fragrance of seeds around him, Chen Wei wrinkled his nose slightly, and suddenly remembered the legendary famous 8-treasure Bodhi tree, which almost all Beastmasters dream of. He stepped forward and wanted to find the trace of the 8-treasure Bodhi tree in the medicine hall. The 8-treasure Bodhi tree is the legendary treasure of enlightenment. Even if the Bodhi tree manifested by the Beast Refining Tower does not have 1/10 of the power of the original one, it can still bring great help to the Beastmaster, and perhaps help him cultivate the Red Cloud Flame Array diagram and the Taiheo Azure Dragon diagram to a higher level. However, Chen Wei and K-Ling seemed to have touched some taboos before they took a few steps. A dazzling beam of light suddenly descended from the roof of the medicine hall, and the sudden increase in extreme temperature even made Chen Wei feel the crisis of death. It's too late. Chen Wei only felt that his eyes went dark, and the whole person suddenly appeared in the hall on the bottom floor of the Beast Refining Tower. If it were real life, would I be dead? Looking at the lively crowd around him, Chen Wei couldn't help but take a few deep breaths. According to the regulations published by the Futa Beast Refining Tower, when the challenger and the pet are close to death, the spirit of the Beast Refining Tower will trigger the safety mechanism and instantly move the challenger and the pet out of the Futa world. He lowered his head and looked at the 3 pets. As expected, K-Ling and Yutong both had a trace of shock in their eyes, but Taote remained calm. There are always people better than you. With the strength shown in the 7th level of the inheritance trial, it is estimated that only Beastmasters above the king level are qualified to challenge it. Recalling the invincible light that killed everything in an instant, Chen Wei turned around and left the Beast Refining Tower without any nostalgia. It is important for people to know themselves. Before his source star enters the 6th level, challenging the inheritance trial again is just a waste of time. It's been a long time since I saw such an outstanding young man. Qiao Sheng, who was sitting on the top floor of the pagoda, stroked his long beard and sighed. No wonder he was favored by Han Jiao and planned to be listed as the leader of Zitan. It may be a bit exaggerated to say that he is rare in 1,000 years, but if it is placed in the past 100 years, there is indeed no new Beastmaster who can compare with this child. Tan Yuangzi, vice president of Zitan University, pondered for a while and said, "There is no way. In this era, disciples are inferior to others and have no confidence to speak. What do you think of the girl from Chihuahua University?" Qiao Sheng's eyes showed a trace of memories. That was Han Jiao's business. Feng Yuanzi alone can't interfere with the decision-making of Zitan University. Tan Yuangzi picked up the teacup and took a sip. Compared to these, don't you think the Beast Refining Tower has been a little strange recently? The source power it has swallowed these days is actually more than 1/3 of the previous ones. What's so strange about this? The 6th level of the inheritance trial has just been passed by a student, Qiao Sheng said calmly. You mean? Tan Yuangzi's pupils shrank and he subconsciously looked in the direction where Chen Wei left. That's right. Apart from him, there are no new talents in Zitan University recently. Qiao Sheng glanced at him lightly, with a smile on his face. Didn't you go to the Beast Refining Tower today? Looking at Chen Wei who came to visit, Han Jiao asked. Thinking back to the past, in order to suppress the genius of Jinhua University, She spent 3 months in the Futa Beast Refining Tower to get the first place. Chen Wei is not seizing the time to catch up with Chihuahua University, get the first place, and get a dedicated training room. What is he doing in her office? Teacher, I just came back from the Beast Refining Tower and found this thing in the inheritance trial. I want to ask your opinion. At this point, Chen Wei took out the skin of the Yali from the star ring. Hearing this, Han Jiao raised her eyes slightly, but was not very interested. After all, she had also passed the inheritance trial before, and knew that the things rewarded in the first 4 levels of the trial were basically rags, and there was nothing worth caring about. However, when Han Jiao saw the reddish cowhide in front of her, her brows suddenly frowned. With her strong mental power, she could naturally sense the strange aura emanating from the leather. Yeu skin. Chapter 467 Future Master. Han Jiao glanced at Chen Wei with a strange look, which made Chen Wei feel a little scared. Teacher, is there something wrong? Chen Wei asked, breaking the silence. Something is wrong. There are many things wrong, such as how did you get the skin of the Yali? Han Jiao muttered in his heart. Comparison is the culprit. When she passed the 4th level of the inheritance trial, the reward she got was just the remains of the 5th level sword of the red-faced Yali, which was a big difference compared to the Yali skin. What do you want to know? Han Jiao pretended to be calm, as if the Yali skin in front of her was ordinary and not worth mentioning. Teacher, is there a beastmaster in this world who is born with 2 innate talents? Chen Wei said nervously. It seems that you have learned the function of the Yali skin with your spiritual eyes. Han Jiao sighed. To be honest, even I don't know if there are any beastmasters born with dual talents in this world. After all, this world is too big. But one thing is certain, through some special means, beastmasters can indeed obtain a second talent, but they have to pay a huge price. At this point, Han Jiao tapped the skin of the Yali with his fingertips. The innate talent that is seized by force will not only have problems with a degree of fit, but will also increase the difficulty of breaking through the level, and the probability of being burned to death by the source star fire will also be greatly increased. Therefore, except for some evil beastmasters who are in desperate situations, no beastmaster dares to covet other people's innate talents. After speaking, Han Jiao put the Yali skin into his star ring. Such things are too dangerous for you, it's better to give it to me for safekeeping. Chen Wei looked at the teacher's smooth movements, without any doubt, and directly responded, then leave it to you, teacher. Well, not bad, as if he felt that it was not good to take things from his own disciples for nothing. Han Jiao took out a box from the star ring and pushed it in front of Chen Wei. Teacher, what is this? Pure Yang blood refining pill, can greatly shorten the growth period of dragon species, Han Jiao explained simply. Chen Wei's heart moved. Pure Yang blood refining pill is a famous 6th grade top grade pill. Just one pill is enough to promote the growth of the blood of alien beasts, shorten the growth period of real dragons by about 100 years, and prevent dragon masters from raising 3 generations of one dragon because of the long growth period of real dragons, and finally sending off the young dragons for generations. Thank you, teacher. Without saying anything polite, Chen Wei took the box pushed by the teacher with both hands. With a pure Yang blood refining pill, he can improve the strength of the 3 pets at the fastest speed, thereby reversing the special situation where his source star cultivation far exceeds the strength of the pets. Yes, that's right. Except for Chen Wei, a cultivation genius, the source star cultivation of beastmasters in Donghua is generally far lower than the strength of the contracted pets. It's just a pill, not worth much. Han Jiao played with the blood-soaked sprouts on the table, and the blood-soaked leaves pointed in the direction of the door. Seeing this, Chen Wei stood up and left. Looking at Chen Wei's disappearing back, Han Jiao murmured softly. Musings, learning from the past and knowing the future, talent is indeed a bit tricky. Chen Wei is really my lucky star. As soon as the voice fell, Han Jiao took out the skin of the Yali and looked at it, his eyes showing a bit of intoxication. The red-faced Yali, a dominant beast, is extremely rare. Except for the fact that she had seen it several times in the beast refining tower during her student days, she had never encountered this seemingly extinct beast after searching all over the continent. Not bad, although the weight is a little less, it can still be used to refine the long-lost Yali red pill. A cold and satisfied voice suddenly sounded in the quiet office. After leaving the office, Chen Wei chose to return to Zixa Club to handle some affairs first, and handed the Huang pill that inspired the members' fighting spirit in refining pills to use Zilman in public. indicating that the previous promise was still valid. Afterwards, Chen Wei bought a large amount of daily necessities with a spontaneous following of many Zitan students. If he hadn't summoned the domineering Teodi during this period, he would probably have been stuck in the crowd and couldn't get out. I used to think that the 5 college students wouldn't chase stars, but now it seems that I am shallow. Chen Wei looked down at his wrinkled sleeves, with a trace of helplessness on his face. Perhaps it was because Zidin University was suppressed too much by Jinhua University and Shihuan University a few days ago, or perhaps it was because he, as a freshman, suppressed the students of the 5 colleges and 8 colleges in the Buddha world. In short, whenever Chen Wei goes out now, he can find that he is extremely popular, and he can feel the gazes of others wherever he goes. I hope that after half a year of seclusion, this trend can be reduced. Chen Wei sighed and took out a Buddha token given by the teacher in the hall of the Beast Refining Tower. Another person is here. I finally fell asleep. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon blinked with sleepy dragon eyes, and then looked at the Beast Master who appeared again in the distance. You little guy again. For some reason, when he saw that the person coming was Chen Wei, the anger on the face of Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon began to dissipate, and even the illusion skills prepared by his mind were interrupted and cancelled. Well, since we have met twice, let's meet each other. The guy I met last time was a liar, but this time he shouldn't be. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's eyes showed a hint of eagerness. At this time, Chen Wei was shocked to feel a subtle spiritual fluctuation scanning through him, and looked towards Wanyan Yingfei with full vigilance. How could there be other people in a separate training room? The next second, in Chen Wei's astonished eyes, an illusory white light suddenly flowed in the open space of the training room, and finally turned into a giant dragon that he was somewhat familiar with. Illusion Ancient Dragon? No, that's not right. The Huansong Ancient Dragon recorded in the Beast Taming Atlas has no forelimbs, only a pair of hind legs and 2 pairs of shining spiritual dragon wings that can shake the mind. Chen Wei frowned tightly. At this time, the ancient dragon shadow that appeared in front of him was very illusory. Its dragon horns were reddish-brown, its neck was engraved with patterns that Chen Wei could not understand. And there was a blue crystal on its chest that expanded outward in the shape of a pentagram. Its short limbs were hidden in the spiritual world and difficult to observe. But what Chen Wei cared about most was the terrifying oppression brought to him by the dragon's breathtaking blue dragon eyes that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. I can't fight it. This was the thought that came to Chen Wei's mind. The strange dragon in front of him was definitely one of the evolved forms of the Phantom Heavy Ancient Dragon. As we all know, numbers have no meaning in front of the Phantom Heavy Ancient Dragon. It can even crush and destroy a large-scale beast tide in an instant. What's more, the one in front of him was a higher evolved form of the Phantom Heavy Ancient Dragon. Even if they took action, K-Ling and the others' mental power was obviously not as good as this terrifying dragon. This is the junior's training room. May I ask who you are? Chen Wei bowed politely. The future master of the Futa Beast Refining Tower, the Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon who reigns over the world. The Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon raised his head proudly. Chapter 468 Quasi-God Illusion. This real dragon seems a bit silly. Seeing Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon raise his head, Chen Wei's nervousness suddenly disappeared a lot. Then, his attention was attracted by Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's words, the future master of the Beast Refining Tower. What? You seem to have an opinion. As if sensing the surprise on Chen Wei's face, Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon patted his chest and glanced at him. I am the direct disciple of Tan Shan Yao Sheng. I have sacrificed my life and shed blood for Zidin University. The Zidin University uniform you are wearing now is engraved with my cloud stripes. According to the seniority handed down from the recent ancient times, you still have to call me Elder Huanzhong, disciple of Tan Shan Yao Sheng. Hearing this, Chen Wei's pupils shrank, and the light of his delusion-breaking spiritual eyes flickered slightly. Pet name, Huanzhong Emperor Dragon. Pet attributes, Spirit System, Dragon System, Racial Level, Legendary Emperor, Half-Step Immortal, Strength Level, 8th Level Legendary Peak, Quasi-God, Racial Skills, Unobservable. Introduction to Pet. It is said to be a direct disciple of the Saint Tan Shan Yao, possessing the ability to change illusions into reality, and can change the upper limit of its own lifespan, turning the death of the limit into illusion, so as to live another life. After reading the data detected by the delusion-breaking spirit eyes, Chen Wei couldn't help swallowing his saliva. The Huanzhong Emperor Dragon in front of him is definitely the strongest beast he has seen so far. In addition, The half-step immortality shown in the race level of the Huanshuang Emperor Dragon and the quasi-god shown in the strength level made Chen Wei feel a little difficult to understand. "Hello, Elder Huanshuang," Chen Wei bowed with a serious expression. "There are many strong people in Zidian University, and the Buddha Refining Beast Tower is the treasure of Zidian University. There must be hidden legendary strongmen guarding it. Since the Huanshuang Emperor Dragon in front of him dares to call himself a disciple of the Saint Tan Shan Yao, and can appear in the training room of the Buddha Tower, he must have a great connection with Zidian University, and he will not suffer any loss in this bow." "Well, not bad." Looking at Chen Wei's correct posture, the Huanshuang Emperor Dragon nodded with satisfaction. Then it looked at Kai Ling, who had a slightly wary face, and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid. In order to pursue the realm of immortality and live a new life, I have long abandoned my physical body and concentrated all my energy on the cultivation of my soul. Even if your Beastmaster hides some secrets, it is not worth mentioning to me." At this point, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon looked at Kai Ling carefully again. "It's been a long time since I saw a Jiaolong species trying to break the limit. With your current blood concentration, you are also among the best among Jiaolong species. The growth period of Jiaolong is much shorter than that of a real dragon, but with your current progress, if you want to completely develop the power of dragon essence and blood, break the limit and evolve into a special real dragon species that is 1 in a million, it will take at least 100 years. Kai Ling, it takes 100 years to evolve perfectly, which means that she will be suppressed by Yutong Teoti for 100 years. This is definitely something Kai Ling can't stand." Chen Wei comforted the pitiful Kai Ling, and then tilted his head to look at Huanshuang Emperor Dragon. "You mean, because the growth period of Jiaolong is long, Kai Ling needs to spend a lot of time to accumulate strength before it can transform. Elder, can pure Yang Refining Blood Pill and Dragon Blood Fruit effectively solve this problem?" Pure Yang Refining Blood Pill and Dragon Blood Fruit. Huanshuang Emperor long nodded slightly. "Yes, you can mention these two beast-controlling resources, which means you have carefully studied the information on the sublimation of Jiaolong Dragon Yuan. But there is one thing I want to tell you, the ultimate sublimation of Jiaolong Dragon Yuan is far from as simple as you think, and it is far from enough to rely on these two resources alone. Please give me some advice, Elder," Chen Wei said cautiously. "It is related to the future evolution of Kai Ling, and you can't be too careful at this moment." "You want my help?" Huanshuang Emperor long smiled. "Yes, Elder, please give me some advice. If there is anything that students can do, students will not refuse," Chen Wei said respectfully. "Very good. I saw you use a special and strange dragon crystal to cultivate pets before, and I am very interested." Chen Wei's face was calm, but he was really shocked in his heart. "Damn it, it looks like I'm being targeted." Seeing Chen Wei's hesitation, the 4 pairs of dragon wings formed by the magnificent spiritual power behind the illusionary Emperor Dragon swayed slightly, and a white light suddenly appeared in front of it. The light dissipated, and a dreamlike, seemingly unreal and untouchable bead quietly emerged. "This is the world pyroxene condensed by my talent skill." After saying that, the illusionary Emperor Dragon, who had suffered a loss before, did not throw the world pyroxene in his hand to Chen Wei, but tossed it in his hand. "As long as you can give me 10 special dragon crystals, this world pyroxene is yours," illusionary Emperor Dragon said bluntly. Chen Wei stared at the pyroxene in the hand of the illusionary Emperor Dragon, and the delusion-breaking spirit eyes talent was activated. World pyroxene, a level 7 dragon epic resource, a special resource condensed by the illusionary Emperor Dragon skill Real Illusion. It contains an illusory ancient dragon world. Using this resource can make dragon pets return to their ancestors, merge with the ancient illusory dragon, and awaken the blood with the highest concentration and the strongest grade in the depths of their blood. It's a beast-controlling resource that is highly similar to the effect of dragon crystal. Chen Wei took a breath of cold air in his heart, and quickly regained his composure under the suppression of the yellow-level spiritual realm. The silence lasted for about 3 minutes. Just when the illusionary Emperor Dragon couldn't help but break the silence, Chen Wei slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air and took out a few colorful intermediate dragon crystals from the star ring. In order to allow pets to advance, evolve, at the fastest and safest speed, Chen Wei listed the few high-level dragon crystals as controlled resources and only used them at the most critical moment. So he knew very well that the illusionary Emperor Dragon had never seen high-level dragon crystals at all. Sure enough, at the moment when the intermediate dragon crystal appeared, he could clearly feel that the illusionary Emperor Dragon's eyes were glowing. The world is bustling, all come for profit, and the world is bustling, all go for profit. Chen Wei finally understood Huanshuang Emperor Long's goal now. He did not hand over the intermediate dragon crystal in his hand to Huanshuang Emperor Long, but suddenly asked, before the transaction, "Can I ask, Elder Huanshuang, how did you get into my practice room?" Sensing the subtle vigilance in Chen Wei's words, Huanshuang Emperor Long smiled and said, "Is it possible that this is my exclusive practice room, and you are the sudden intruder?" Hearing this, Chen Wei was stunned and took out a Buddha token from his body at the first time. I see, perhaps because he hadn't seen the familiar token for too long, Huanshuang Emperor Long's eyes showed a trace of memory. "This is a token issued by me, belonging to the Tanshan lineage. I didn't expect that you are also an alchemist. No wonder you can break into my practice room." Chapter 469, 3000 Dragons. Hearing the words of Huanshuang Emperor Long, Chen Wei was slightly startled. When he thought of the incredible methods in the beast refining tower, an incredible guess suddenly emerged in his mind. "Well, you are right, Huanshuang Emperor Long is an 8 glory peak alchemist. Even the spiritual plant elixir in the purple star realm was materialized by me using the real illusion." Huanshuang Emperor Long nodded confidently, showing off like a child. "Now I am only one step away from the legendary medicine saint, but the distant step, I guess I will never have the chance to step into it in this life." Its voice was filled with a hint of regret. Gulp. Chen Wei couldn't help swallowing his throat. "I thought that teacher Han was able to train senior brother Grau to be a master-level alchemist, which was unique in Donghu. I didn't expect that Tan Shan Yao Sheng was even more outrageous. He actually trained Huanshuang Emperor Long to be an 8 glory peak alchemist. No, according to the timeline, the teacher might be the one who imitated Tan Shan Yao Sheng." Just when Chen Wei was surprised, Huanshuang Emperor Long glanced at him speechlessly. "Do you have a high-level defensive source device that can block your breath? If you take out the pagoda token earlier, I will show up when you first enter the Source Star realm." Chen Wei looked down at the faintly glowing azure dragon badge on his chest, and he found the culprit. "Since you are the leader of this session of the Red Sandalwood, things will be much easier." Huanshuang Emperor Dragon looked at Chen Wei with a slightly relaxed look, and a gentle smile began to appear on his face. Obviously, for Huanshuang Emperor Dragon, Chen Wei's influence in Dancing with Dragons is not as great as the reputation of the Red Sandalwood leader. It even took only 5 of the intermediate dragon crystals in Chen Wei's palm, and threw the world pyroxene to Chen Wei. After doing these actions, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon turned around and waved, signaling Chen Wei to follow from behind. Looking at the world pyroxene in his hand, Chen Wei held back the joy in his heart, looked down at the equally excited Kai Ling, and then quickly followed. Soon, under the guidance of Huanshuang Emperor Dragon, Chen Wei and the 3 pets came to a world of fire where the ground fire was gushing and magma was splashing. "What is this?" Chen Wei was surprised as he looked at the lava waterfall that was cascading down 3,000 feet in the distance, and the mysterious source inscriptions that appeared and disappeared on the waterfall. If he was not mistaken, the lava waterfall that was several thousand meters high in front of him looked a bit like the fire mouth of an alchemy furnace, and the bronze material under the waterfall was a bit similar to the legendary Grade 8 legendary Kangyang Mountain Copper. "No, it's impossible," Chen Wei shook his head. "In Donghua, a fist-sized Kangyang Mountain Copper is enough to move a legendary strongman, and even ask a legendary strongman to take action once. If the mountains that were several thousand meters high in the distance were all made of Kangyang Mountain Copper, the value would be completely inestimable." At the same time, Huanshuang Emperor Long proudly introduced the dark mountains in the distance, that is Teacher Tan Shan's alchemy furnace, Chaoyong Shiandi baking furnace, and it is also the test place for you to obtain the title of Red Sandalwood Leader. Chaoyong Shiandi alchemy furnace, it is based on mountains, rivers, veins, rivers and other things, and contains the 9th level immortal source of the world's thousands of laws. It is currently in a dormant state, and its specific power cannot be observed. Wow, who would have thought of placing a 9th order immortal alchemy furnace in the 8th order legendary source beast refining tower? Chen Wei stared blankly at the huge alchemy furnace whose entire appearance was completely unclear. This is the junction of the Source Star Realm and the Purple Star Realm, where the teacher's life treasures are buried. Seeing Chen Wei's eyes glowing, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon couldn't help but remind him. Don't look at it, unless you can break through the 9th level of the inheritance trial, or become an immortal powerhouse comparable to Teacher Tan Shan, otherwise, let alone taking away the treasures inside, You won't even be able to see the treasures in front of you. Just kidding. If teacher Tan Shan's inheritance treasures were so easy to take, I, who have reached the level of a quasi-god, would have looted all the treasures inside long ago. Ignoring Huancong Emperor Long's ridicule, Chen Wei asked, Elder Huancong, what does the title of Red Sandalwood Champion mean, and what is the test site? The Red Sandalwood Champion represents the reputation of Red Sandalwood University. Generally, only peerless monsters who are both beastmasters and alchemists can hold the title. If a student's talent is not enough, Red Sandalwood University would rather leave the title vacant than give it to a student with mediocre talent. In simple terms, when you become the Red Sandalwood Champion, it means that you have successfully entered the list of Beastmasters of the Donghua Beastmaster Association, and can receive the country's full training to deal with the endless threats of the current era. I remember that the last winner of the Red Sandalwood Champion seemed to be a little guy named Tan Yongzi, Huancong Emperor Long said uncertainly. Ahem. Hearing this familiar name, Chen Wei couldn't help but cough twice. If he remembered correctly, the little guy in Huancong Emperor Long's mouth is now the vice president of Red Sandalwood University, the president of the Red Sandalwood Beastmaster Association, and a legendary strongman who dominates the whole country. As for the so-called test place, it is the location of the Chaoyuan Xiandi Danlu. As long as you can pass the qualification test of the Chaoyuan Danlu, you will be the champion of this session of Zitan, Huancong Emperor Long explained casually. Okay, come with me. If you can pass the test of the Chaoyuan Danlu, you can also get great benefits. Okay, Chen Wei nodded slightly. The colorful spirit beside him directly activated the size of Ruai, and the body expanded rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, carrying Chen Wei and Huancong Emperor Long, rushing towards the towering mountains in the distance. As the distance quickly closed, Chen Wei began to feel the vigorous flame breath emitted by the Chaoyuan Xiandi Danlu, and even the flame crystal core condensed in the source star space was a little restless. Soon, Huancong Emperor Long took Chen Wei to the top of the Chaoyuan Xiandi Danlu, which was also the place where the Chaoyuan Dam fire was the most vigorous. Next, do as I said. Close your eyes first, relax your mind. And then put your palm on the Chaoyuan Divine Stone in front of you. Listening to Huancong Emperor Long's command, Chen Wei put his palm on the stone in front of him. The result was unexpected. The Chaoyuan Divine Stone, which originally exuded a scalding breath and was extremely hot, actually burst out a faint cool air from his tightly pressed palm into the source star space. The next second, Chen Wei's spiritual world saw a pair of gorgeous huge eyes that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. As if noticing Chen Wei's gaze, the pair of giant eyes that exuded a kind and friendly atmosphere deliberately blinked. Then, Chen Wei suddenly found that a majestic and obscure knowledge was being transmitted to the depths of his brain, through the gorgeous giant eyes. Zuanyang Purple Pill, Exorcist Pill, Golden Crow Transformation Pill, 3000 Dragon Transformation Pill. Chen Wei silently memorized the high-level pill formulas that kept emerging in his mind, but suddenly heard an incredible voice from the Huancong Emperor Dragon beside him. 3000 Dragon Transformation. How is it possible? Chapter 470 Immortal Pill Order. The sudden sound of the illusionary Emperor Dragon interrupted Chen Wei's thoughts that were sinking in the ocean of knowledge, causing him to frown slightly. Fortunately, with the suppression of the yellow-level spirit realm, he finally successfully memorized the recipes flowing in his mind. That is, the 7 recipes that Chen Wei could see clearly before. Now only 4 are left. But before Chen Wei had time to regret, his mind was shocked by the grades of the 4 recipes recorded in the Chaoyuan Dan Sutra. 2 7th-level recipes. 2 8th-level recipes. Chen Wei took a deep breath and forcibly suppressed his joy and excitement. Beastmasters of civilian origin generally believe that resources are more important, and knowledge is second, but in the eyes of the Beastmaster family, the two are exactly the opposite. The inherited secret skills and secret knowledge that are enough to be passed down to future generations are far more important than the same level of Beastmaster resources. And the rare high-level recipes are even more valuable treasures in the eyes of alchemists, which are enough to make an alchemist who does not care about worldly things go through a lot. Unfortunately, the levels of these unheard-of pill recipes are too high. Chen Wei sighed. With his current strength, he simply couldn't refine such high-level pills, and he even had no channels to collect the spiritual medicines recorded in the pill recipes. Hearing Chen Wei's sigh, Huancong Emperor Dragon was slightly startled. This little guy actually got the advantage and still acted cute, so, when the giant eye in his mind disappeared, Chen Wei opened his eyes and saw Huancong Emperor Dragon staring at him, which made him feel hairy. Elder Huancong, is there any problem? Chen Wei asked carefully, so as to prevent Huancong Emperor Dragon, who is in a bad mood, from doing something strange. You look pretty good, so I advise you not to focus on the pill scriptures given to you by Chao Yuang Danlu before your spiritual realm reaches the earth level. Those pill recipes are too far away from you. Forcing yourself to study them will only make you confused. Huancong Emperor Dragon wagged his tail, his tone a little sour. Chen Wei followed 3 dragon-type pets with him. With the eyes of Huancong Emperor Dragon, he could naturally see Chen Wei's identity as a dragon master. Apart from the disadvantage of being too high level, the 3000 dragon pills can be said to be a high-level pill recipe tailored for Chen Wei by Chao Yuang Xiandi Danlu. Unfortunately, the grade of the 3000 dragon pills is extremely high, and it is a golden pill that Huancong Emperor Dragon dares not refine now, let alone Chen Wei, a low-level beastmaster. As an elder, a real dragon, and a former 8 glory peak alchemist, Huancong Emperor Dragon is very clear about the temptation of the 3000 dragon pills to the dragon master, so it advised Chen Wei. Yes, that's right, although Huancong Emperor Dragon claims to be an 8 glory peak alchemist, it was a glorious thing in the past, and there is a lot of water in it. Especially after the death of teacher Tan Shan, Huancong Emperor Dragon lost his greatest reliance on refining medicine, causing his refining level to drop directly to the middle stage of 8 glory, and even some more difficult golden pills could not be refined. In addition, it used its racial skills to abandon its body, leaving only its soul attached to the beast refining tower to prolong its lifespan, and live another life, trying to enter the realm of immortal demigod with a pure yang mind. Today, the Huancong Emperor Dragon dares not even refine the lower difficulty 8th level golden elixir, so as not to consume too much and affect its pure yang mind that has been accumulated little by little over a long time. Of course, if the alchemy process is materialized in the real illusion, Huancong Emperor Dragon is still a powerful 8 glory peak alchemist. As for the real alchemy, it is better not to mention it. Junior understands. Chen Wei nodded seriously. Okay, since you have successfully passed the test of the test place, you are the leader of this session of Red Sandalwood. Huancong Emperor Dragon yawned and said uninterestedly. The test is passed. When Chen Wei blinked, feeling a little weird. Huancong Emperor Dragon glanced at him and explained, in order to become the leader of Zitan, in addition to talent, the most important thing is to be loyal to the human race and to mankind. Now look at the back of your left hand. Chen Wei was slightly stunned and looked down at the flame alchemy furnace mark that suddenly appeared on his left hand. As a 9th level immortal source, although the Chao Yuang Xiandi Danlu is still in its dormant period, it still has the ability to see the real world in your heart and conclude the immortal Dan order. If you are an evil beast master who surrenders to strange beasts, explores taboos, and betrays the human race, the moment your palm touches the Chao Yuang Divine Stone, it will trigger the Chao Yuang Xiandi Divine Fire on the immortal Dan order, burning your body and soul together. Hearing this, Chen Wei's eyes were a little complicated. As if he understood Chen Wei's discomfort, Huancong Emperor Long explained, more than 8,000 years ago, a dying legendary evil beast master used his strange beast skills to take over the body of Wang Hanlin, a senior high school student in Genshin City, and then passed his identity to be admitted to Genshin University. Over a period of 4 years, he gradually became the leader of Genshin, gained the trust of Genshin teachers and students step by step, and finally successfully stole the Genshin University's treasure, Genshin Dragon Vein Cauldron, with the help of the 8 evil bandits. Later, his ambition grew, and he tried to detonate all the dragon veins in Donghu country, and use the majestic power of the dragon veins to explore the mysteries of the immortal demigod. Seeing a hint of curiosity on Chen Wei's face, Huancong Emperor Long smiled and continued. Wang Hanlin was very rampant. He sacrificed a large number of human beasts with blood. With the blessing of the dragon vein, his strength was almost surpassing the quasi-gods and entering the ranks of the 9th order immortal demigods. As a result, the 5 closed-door masters of Dongyan came out to attack him. Even teacher Tanshan, who was indifferent to worldly affairs at the beginning, took me to eliminate the demons and defend the way. The 5 great masters of Dongyan. Chen Wei smiled in his heart. As the saying goes, the 5 great masters are ironclad, and the dynasties are changing. Even the replacement of dynasties cannot change the status of the 5 great masters among beast masters. If he remembered correctly, The Qin dynasty was the first beast-controlling dynasty established by Emperor Qin, and the Dongyan Kingdom was a beast-controlling country established hundreds of years after the collapse of the Qin dynasty. Because there was no immortal demigod in Dongyan at that time, the strongest was only a legendary master, so they did not dare to call themselves a dynasty like the Qin kingdom. What was the result? Chen Wei asked. At that time, Teacher Tanshan had already reached the realm of immortal demigods. It was natural for him to deal with an evil beast master who became a quasi-god by illegal means, Huanshuang Emperor Long said proudly. Ahem, the topic is a bit off topic. In the final analysis, the immortal pill order on the back of your hand is a method specially developed by the teacher after that incident, in order to prevent the same situation as Genshin University from happening in Zidane University in the future. In short, although the immortal pill order restricts you from betraying the human race, it is also a kind of protection for you. If an evil beast master takes a fancy to your talent and wants to use means of possession or mental control on you, the immortal pill order on the back of your hand will completely trigger the induction of the Chaoyuan pill furnace, and send down a ray of Chaoyuan heaven and earth divine fire that burns everything. With a divine fire protecting you, even if a legendary evil beast master attacks you, you will be half dead if you don't die. Chapter 471 Immortal Dragon. So that's it. After listening to Huanshuang Emperor Long's story, Chen Wei's hidden knot in his heart suddenly subsided a lot. Every move of the Red Sand's leader represents the face of Red Sand University. He can fully understand the caution of Red Sand University. After all, no matter which beast control force, they don't want to cultivate a traitorous beast control master to bite back. It's just that Huanshuang Emperor Long didn't inform in advance and thoroughly implemented the matter of concluding the immortal pill order. This behavior made Chen Wei a little uncomfortable. As if he noticed Chen Wei's emotional change, Huanshuang Emperor Long scratched his head. Sorry, because I slept too long. If you didn't ask, I almost forgot to explain some things to you. Hearing this, Chen Wei looked at Huanshuang Emperor Long speechlessly. With his current source star cultivation, plus the blessing of the yellow-level spirit realm, he can't say that he has a photographic memory of what he has encountered, but he can also be considered to be well-informed. What do you mean by forgetting? In Chen Wei's opinion, Huanshuang Emperor Long's excuse for explanation is like fooling a child, so it's better not to explain. Sensing Chen Wei's speechless gaze, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon moved his mind and moved away directly, leaving behind a sentence. I still have some things to deal with now. You can go back to the Source Star Realm to practice by yourself. Looking at Huanshuang Emperor Dragon who was fleeing in a panic, Chen Wei remained silent for a long time. Good guy, if I hadn't run fast enough, I might have to give away another world pyroxene. Huanshuang Emperor Dragon returned to his nest and patted his chest with some fear. Although the dragon crystal in Chen Wei's hand was somewhat special and the dragon blood it exuded was particularly pure, the amount was too small. At best, it could only be regarded as a level 5 resource, not even as good as a level 6 king resource. If Huanshuang Emperor Dragon didn't have some special means to use, it would never have done such a sesame for a watermelon. Little guy, let Senior Huanshuang teach you. You will suffer a great loss if you are greedy for small gains. Huanshuang Emperor Dragon took out a handful of intermediate dragon crystals and laughed a terrifying laugh. Reflect the future, and turn the virtual into the real. As the voice of the Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon fell, the magnificent spiritual power suddenly surged from the 4 pairs of dragon wings behind it, and the dragon crystals at the dragon palms burst into blood-red strong light. Hey, here we are. Let me see what kind of brilliance these dragon crystals can burst out in the future. There was a hint of expectation in the eyes of the Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon. Under its gaze, fragments of difficult-to-see pictures began to appear on the dazzling intermediate dragon crystals. Hey, it's interesting. It seems that the strength of this year's Red Sandalwood champion is extraordinary, much stronger than previous years. The Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon looked at the obscure picture, where even the shadow of the pet did not appear, and his eyes condensed, and the terrifying spiritual brilliance soared into the sky. Control the mind with the heart, and travel the world. The Phantom Heavy Emperor Dragon is not a time-based pet, but because it follows Tan Shan Yaoshen, an immortal strongman who can be regarded as the top of the world, it has learned some time-based skills by chance. Of course, because the attributes are not compatible, it can only barely exert some time-based skills. At this time, the skill released by Huanshuang Emperor Dragon was the legendary skill, past and present, that could reflect the future. This skill could communicate with a long river of time, and replaced the dragon crystal in front of it that was closely related to Chen Wei with the random treasure that Chen Wei had a chance to obtain in the future. Because the time-related skill of past and present only intercepted a fragment of the future, causing the caster to lose a chance that might be encountered in the future, such a tricky behavior was extremely difficult to detect. In these thousands of years, Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon released past and present several times, just to find treasures that would help him break through in the long river of time. Of course, another part of the reason was that the cooldown period of the skill of present and past of Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon was too long, up to hundreds of years, and it could only select beast masters with stronger luck from the red sandalwood leaders. It's really a pity to always fleece these proud children of heaven. Although Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon said this, he rubbed his hands excitedly, his face full of anticipation. Last time, I got a bit of the 8th level lower grade Lishan Disha from that little guy Tan Yuangzi, which is almost as valuable as the 8th level upper grade resources. I wonder what treasures I can get this time. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's eyes began to glow. It should be said that among the red sandalwood leaders it has seen, Chen Wei is a unique existence, which is why Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon is so looking forward to it now. After all, the Lishan Disha it obtained from the past and present successfully helped it to cleanse its spirit and enter the realm of quasi-gods. If it can get some rare legendary resources from Chen Wei, it may have the hope of surviving for thousands of years. Soon, under the activation of Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon skills, a ray of light finally appeared on the illusory and dim scene on the dragon crystal. Not bad, not bad. It actually takes me half an hour to fully activate the source power to see the future scene, which means that Chen Wei's future is more promising than I expected. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's head suddenly came in front of the intermediate dragon crystal, trying to find the beast controller resources he wanted from the illusory picture. However, in the next second, it saw a dragon it had never seen before, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. How is it possible? This is the aura of an immortal demigod. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon screamed in disbelief and quickly stepped back. Because it had been following teacher Tan Shan for many years, it was very familiar with the aura of an immortal demigod. If nothing unexpected happened, the dragon in the illusory picture had already reached the supreme realm that it had been pursuing and dreaming of. It seemed that it had sensed Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's peeping. The specific appearance could not be seen in the picture. The terrifying dragon, whose aura was far from the Emperor Dragon, and even completely out of the same dimension, turned its head and looked at Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon. Kazi Kazi. As the sound of the intermediate dragon crystal breaking sounded, Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon seemed to have suffered a severe blow, and the originally solid dragon body suddenly became a little illusory. How is it possible? In addition to the time candle dragon with eternal life, there is actually an immortal dragon of the time system in this world. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Although the immortal demigod can detect the traces of skill casting in the past and present, it can only block and annihilate them, and may not be able to trace the source and interfere in the opposite direction. Being able to injure himself along the long river of time, the dragon on the screen is definitely an immortal and invincible time dragon. The difference between the 8th level quasi-god and the immortal demigod is only one word, but there is an unbridgeable gap. Feeling the increasingly tense atmosphere around him, the dragon's breath emerging from the dragon crystal became stronger and stronger, and a sense of death crisis that was attached to his bones was gradually approaching, and the Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon suddenly had a desperate thought in his heart. Am I going to die here today? Chapter 472 Dragon Miyu. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon was very desperate, and even began to suspect that his luck had declined after he entered the realm of quasi-god. First, 200 years ago, he met a woman in the Beast Refining Tower who was blessed with luck and could be called a peerless evildoer. Although the woman was a student of Liushu University, through contact and trade, Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon finally succeeded in obtaining the elegant Taiyai Liguang Sand. He thought that Taiyai Liguang Sand, a 7th level top-grade water-based beast-controlling resource, could be exchanged for treasures that exceeded the gods and demons in the long river of fate. As a result, he lost more than he gained. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon used the skill of the past and present, but was backfired by the long river of time and almost fell into the realm of quasi-god. He could only stay in the Beast Refining Tower for 100 years to stabilize his realm. However, good and bad are interdependent. That backlash not only made Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon have a better understanding of the power of time, but also obtained a legendary treasure, Wuxiang Dragonbone, that gave the dragon race a slim chance of breaking through to immortality. Of course, because the illusionary Emperor Dragon had long abandoned his physical body, leaving only his mind to rely on the beast refining tower, the formless dragon bone was useless to him, and he could only trade it with a peer. Therefore, he always felt that the original transaction was a loss, which was why the illusionary Emperor Dragon finally chose to trade with Chen Wei's Dragon Crystal. After all, the intermediate Dragon Crystal belongs to the Dragon System resources, the level is moderate, and the most important thing is that it has a close connection with Chen Wei. Damn, is Chen Wei's future to die in the hands of this time dragon? Apart from this possibility, the illusionary Emperor Dragon could not think of any reason why Chen Wei had the opportunity to get involved with a time dragon. At this time, noticing that the eyes on the screen changed from curiosity to indifference, the illusionary Emperor Dragon began to alarm. As a dragon, he was very familiar with such eyes. When facing weak ants, he often played around for a while and then showed a bored look, and then crushed the opponent to death. What a joke. I am the disciple of teacher Tan Shan, a quasi-god who almost stands at the top of the world. How dare you bully me like this? Endless spiritual power gushed out from the dragon wings behind the illusion-heavy Emperor Dragon. Large tracts of space were cut apart by the terrifying momentum, and dark cracks slowly emerged, as if to swallow up the intermediate dragon crystal that brought about all the changes. The despised illusion-heavy Emperor Dragon seemed to be furious, but all its mental power was focused on the pentagram crystal embedded in its chest. That was the time treasure, sun and moon treasure sulfur, that was finally given to it by the old Saint Tan Shan Yao after his failed pursuit of immortality. It was also because of the existence of the sun and moon treasure sulfur on his chest that the illusion-heavy Emperor Dragon could control time as a spiritual dragon and release the half-baked skills of the past and present. Obviously, although the illusion-heavy Emperor Dragon seemed to be shouting happily on the surface, it knew it was no match for the opponent and still chose the safest way to try to interrupt the formed skills of the past and present, thereby blocking the peeping of another time and space. However, it was too late. In front of the immortal dragon, who was really good at manipulating time, all the actions of the phantom-heavy Emperor Dragon were particularly ridiculous. Buzz, the illusory picture that appeared on the intermediate dragon crystal suddenly stretched out a flawless dragon claw, just like a ruthless god destroying the world, completely freezing the time around the phantom-heavy Emperor Dragon. Damn it, I can't resist it at all. Relying on the tyrannical mental power, the phantom-heavy Emperor Dragon could detect the traces of time freezing, and even clearly saw the dragon claw slowly pressing down on its forehead, but it just didn't have the power to stop it. The quasi-god power that it used to be proud of seemed particularly weak in front of the immortal dragon. You are not just entering the immortal realm, but standing at the peak of the immortal realm, and have the hope of becoming the supreme dragon god. The phantom-heavy Emperor Dragon closed his eyes and planned to lie down to welcome death. There was no way. It was a quasi-god dragon that was good at the spiritual system. Playing with time in front of the time dragon was just like showing off one's skills in front of an expert. At this moment, a magnetic voice that sounded familiar but obviously much more mature suddenly rang out. It's time for dinner, Miayu. As this voice appeared, the eyes of the dragon on the illusory screen suddenly changed, revealing a gentleness that Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon could not understand. In the eyes of this immortal dragon, everything in the world seemed less important than the words "it's time for dinner." At the same time, Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon's sense of crisis of death that was deeply rooted in his bones also disappeared in an instant, and even the frozen time around him returned to normal. Obviously, this dragon named Miayu has lost interest in Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon, and is even too lazy to kill this quasi-god dragon that is enough to dominate the East China Kingdom. No way. Huan's Huang Emperor Dragon swallowed his saliva. It was very familiar with this voice, which was clearly the voice of Chen Wei, whom it had just met. In addition to the word "it's time for dinner," which is full of life, this dragon named Miayu is obviously a dragon with an owner. What kind of beastmaster can contract a time dragon? Only a demigod beastmaster, a mortal strong man, who stands at the top of the beastmaster can contract a time dragon. Note that this is only a possibility. At least a teacher of Huan's Huang Emperor Long, that is, an immortal strongman like Tan Shan Yao Shen, can't do this, otherwise he wouldn't regret reincarnation because of his lifespan. Bang, bang, bang. This is the sound of the dragon crystal finally unable to hold on and turning into powder. However, at this time, Huan's Huang Emperor Long, who was stunned and felt that the whole dragon was stupid, had no time to care about the annihilated dragon crystal in front of him. Its mouth opened slightly and did not close for a long time. After a long time, it threw out an unbelievable word. Fuck, I was wrong. Chen Wei actually has the potential to become an immortal strong man. Then Huanzhuang Emperor Long quickly covered his mouth again and carefully glanced around. The legendary skill of the present and the past only intercepted a part of the possible future. There is a considerable error and does not represent the absolute future. In other words, Chen Wei may fall prematurely or exhaust his potential due to various changes in the future, and stop at epic or legendary, and may not be able to reach the 9th level of immortality. Despite this is also quite remarkable news for Huanzhuang Emperor Long. After all, after the death of teacher Tan Shan, there has never been another immortal strongman in Zidian University. Moreover, compared with other legendary strongmen whose end can be seen at a glance, Chen Wei has the potential to become an immortal strongman after all. Since Chen Wei can be recognized by the Time Dragon, it means that he is hiding a big secret. If I also become his pet, wouldn't I have the opportunity to fulfill my wish and break through immortality? Huanzhuang Emperor Dragon's head tilted to the right, his eyes hesitant. That was the training room where Chen Wei practiced in seclusion. No, after all, I am an elder. It is really insulting to be a pet for a junior. Let's find another way. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473 New Attributes. On the 9th floor of the Source Star Realm, in an empty and tidy practice room. The source force that is completely invisible and intangible on weekdays condenses into dense smoke, slowly wandering and gathering in the practice room, and surging towards the center of the practice room under an invisible traction. There is a handsome man meditating and practicing there. There is silence in the practice room, and 3 gentle breathing sounds are clearly visible. Buzz, the door opens. Yutong, who has just finished plundering Danki from Zixiahu, walks into the practice room. Looking at the 4 guys sitting still in front of him, it shook its head helplessly, did not disturb the teammates to practice, but sat quietly on its own mat. Bai Luo, who has a quiet and gentle personality, not only helped Chen Wei make the Bizin mat, but also customized mats with different attributes for the pets in the team. Because wood produces fire, Yutong, who recently got the Bizin mat, likes it very much, and just wants to lie on it and sleep and to practice every day. Only the task set by Chen Wei before the retreat can make Yutong temporarily leave the warm bed. Sensing the movement in the training room, Chen Wei slowly opened his eyes, and a light golden light shot out from his eyes, leaving a fleeting light on the ground. The 5th level of the Source Star is more difficult than I thought. No wonder only a few of the 5 senior students of Zidian University can break through. Chen Wei sighed slightly. It has been 4 months since he last parted with Huanzhuang Emperor Dragon. During this time, he devoted himself to hard work and sharpened the Source Star. He almost stepped into the 5th level, but he could not find the opportunity to break through. Now it is useless to just rely on the source power. The most important thing is to find that opportunity to break through or use external forces to break through. Thinking of this, Chen Wei tilted his head and looked at Bai Luo beside him. It should be said that the growth of Bai Luo during this retreat was the most surprising to him. Perhaps it was because Bai Luo had not replenished the source power for too long. As soon as it entered the training room, it swallowed the source power in the beast refining tower at a terrifying speed, and the aura it exuded became stronger and stronger, and finally completely stabilized in the middle of the 7th level. Obviously, Bai Luo had been restraining his instincts while staying in the spiritual plant space, and had not swallowed up a lot of source power, causing his body to be in a weak state, and even shrinking his body to the extreme. Seeing Chen Wei's gaze, Bai Luo smiled widely and raised his short arms. Chirp, good morning. Chen Wei rubbed Bai Luo's head, and then looked at the empty pad not far away. Where is K Ling? Chirp, a batch of new spiritual medicines are about to mature, and the big sister is fertilizing in the spiritual plant space. During these days of retreat and hard training, in addition to swallowing source power every day, K Ling would also take time to enter the spiritual plant space to train the evolutionary skills to call the wind and rain, in order to improve her proficiency to the level of perfection. It's a pity that the further you go, the more difficult it is to increase the proficiency of skills. Even though K Ling was extremely talented, she still couldn't reach the realm of unparalleled after 4 months. Instead, her strength broke through again under the rich source power, and was promoted to the middle level of the 4th level, becoming the strongest existence among Chen Wei's contracted pets. As for Yutong, perhaps because of her higher race, her strength still remained at the lower level of the 4th level, but her normal source energy value soared a lot, directly from 8W to 9W. According to the pet source energy table released by the Beast Taming Association, the normal source energy value of the 4th level Emperor race pet is between 10W and 20W, the normal source energy value of the 5th level King race pet is between 8W and 12W, and the 5th level Overlord race is between 12W and 20W. In other words, as time goes by, Yutong's race level will gradually rise as the blood in her body awakens and grows. If she continues to awaken like this, Yutong may have the opportunity to cross the insurmountable barrier of the alien beasts and directly ascend to the ranks of the Emperor race. Unfortunately, besides Yutong, Tamed is also a big consumer of energy without increasing its strength. Chen Wei looked at Tamed not far away, whose strength was still at the lower level of the 3rd rank. Noticing the gaze of the Beastmaster, Tamed perked up, and a trace of desire appeared in his dark dragon eyes. Roar, Tamed is hungry and wants to eat. Rather than absorbing the energy between heaven and earth, it seems to prefer to use infinite evolution and self-transformation to devour and plunder the energy of alien beasts. Even a blacksmith must be strong himself. If you don't hone your own attributes, you can't go far just by devouring energy. Chen Wei gave it a hard slam. After the sneak attack, Tamed didn't feel any pain, and a look of disappointment appeared on his face, but Chen Wei's knuckles were slightly red. Name of pet, Infinite Dragon King. Pet attributes, mechanical, dragon, dark, new attributes generated, strength level, lower 3rd level, racial skills, omitted, pet introduction. Due to the swallowing of the two-headed hellhound and a large number of high-level mechas, it has inherited too many attribute powers. The attribute powers of the dark and mechanical systems have currently suppressed the dragon system. It takes a long time to digest or swallow the dragon-type alien beast source power to maintain balance. Looking at the information detected by the broken delusion spirit eye, Chen Wei shook his head. It was okay at the beginning. As time passed, he gradually discovered the disadvantages of the two skills of infinite evolution and self-transformation. That is, while swallowing, Tamed needs to control the attribute balance by itself to avoid disorder in the source power in the body. Strictly speaking, this is not a disadvantage. It is purely because Taemed's strength is too low and the object swallowed is too powerful. Chen Wei only needs to extend the interval between Taemed's infinite evolution and swallowing, or use dragon resources to maintain attribute balance to effectively solve the problem. Although he didn't have many dragon resources, it was easy to give Taemed enough dragon power and dragon crystal. Especially recently, under the careful strengthening of Chen Wei's dragon power, the symptoms in Taemed's body not only improved significantly, but also began to awaken and generate new attributes. Do as I say. Before the new attribute awakens or the attribute is balanced, you should stop swallowing the mecha. Chen Wei tapped Taemed's forehead with his fingertips. Sure enough, after hearing Chen Wei's words, Taemed did not resist, but just whimpered and lay on the radish pad specially made for it by Bailuo. Plans are not as fast as changes. I originally planned to save the dragon blood fruit for later use, but now it seems that I need to use it in advance, Chen Wei murmured, and the star ring between his fingers flickered, and a dragon-shaped fruit that was red and winding like a long dragon appeared in his hand. The Futa Beast refining tower was open for only half a year. Now 4 months have passed, and there is more than a month left. It was impossible for him to waste more than a month of accelerated training time in order to find an opportunity to break through the source star, so using external force to break through became Chen Wei's best choice. Chapter 474 Eclipse and Scorch the Sky. As the core area of the Beast Refining Tower, the 9th floor of the Source Star Realm maintains a rich and gentle source power all year round, so that teachers and students can concentrate on practicing and break through the realm. At this time, in a practice room that is closed all year round, a wisp of cold light is surging, releasing a terrifying low temperature. In the eyes of outsiders, this is a harsh and cold place. Even master-level Beastmasters dare not stay for a long time in the ice and snow. No Beastmaster dares to stay. However, a young man with a noble bearing ignored the extreme cold here, and his eyes emitting a light golden glow stared at the rolling sky-blue ice egg in the distance. This young man is Chen Wei. At this moment, he is observing the advancement process of K Ling, And by the way, he has a deep understanding of the role that high-level dragon crystals can play when pets ignite the blood fire. Everything is as expected. Looking at the ice egg in front of him that is slowly changing color, Chen Wei nodded with satisfaction. In order to break through his own source star to the 5th level as quickly as possible, he had to use a dragon blood fruit and 3 high-level dragon crystals to improve K-Ling's strength to the 4th level. Unfortunately, K-Ling broke through, but Chen Wei's source star still did not break through, but became more pure and shining, and even more than half of the sparks burning on the source star were dyed with dazzling red light. In fact, after practicing to this point, even if Chen Wei did nothing, when the red light dyed the source star sparks completely red, it was the day when his source star sparks were ignited for the 2nd time and entered the 5th level. But Chen Wei was unwilling to wait any longer. Now that K-Ling's strength has reached the upper level of the 4th level, he has reached the most basic requirements and can take the pure yang blood refining pill given by the teacher to purify the dragon blood in his body, greatly shorten the growth period, and ignite the blood fire. If it were an ordinary beastmaster, he would never dare to let his pet take the beast resources continuously in such a short time, and use external forces to break through and advance, so as not to damage the foundation of the pet and affect future development. But Chen Wei is obviously different. Thanks to his daily strengthening of the dragon power, K-Ling's potential level has always remained at the top level of the heavenly level. With such a strong foundation suppression, the improvement of 2 levels of strength is nothing to K-Ling. Buzz, as the terrifying cold air was constantly absorbed by the ice egg of the colorful spirit, a light purple glow suddenly rose. Sensing the pure source power that was madly fed back from the beast control contract, Chen Wei closed his eyes without hesitation and concentrated on igniting the spark. Soon, a weak but terrifyingly high-temperature spark appeared on the top corner of Chen Wei's source star. Compared with the blazing spark at the top of the source star, the newly born spark on the left corner of the source star seemed particularly small. As if to prevent itself from extinguishing and falling, this weak spark suddenly burst out with a strong attraction, trying to compete with the first spark for the right to absorb the source power of the source star space. Under this fierce competition, the terrifying temperature broke out completely, and Chen Wei's mind began to feel burning and painful. This is the star-fire forging tribulation that every beastmaster must face when breaking through. If Chen Wei failed to suppress the conflict between the source star sparks in time, the rioting sparks would not only burn the beastmaster's soul to ashes, but it might even turn from virtual to real and burn part of the beastmaster's body to ashes. Meow, roar, chirp. In addition to the colorful spirits who were also breaking through the advanced level, Tamed and Yutong looked at Chen Wei with worry. Through the induction of the beast control contract, they could feel the raging fire in the beastmaster's body. However, their worries were unnecessary. With the suppression of the yellow-level spiritual realm, Chen Wei did not spend much effort and easily suppressed the 2 opposing sparks on the source star, successfully passing the star-fire forging tribulation. Mission accomplished. Feeling the unprecedented fullness in his body, Chen Wei opened his eyes and looked at Yutong with a smile that was difficult to conceal. That's right, as his source star broke through the 5th level, Yutong's stagnant strength also made progress, breaking through to the middle of the 4th level. But what Chen Wei cares most about is the new skill that Yutong awakens after evolution. Skill, Eclipse in Burning Sky, level, 6th level Fire and Dragon dual element growth type skill. Introduction. This skill is a post-skill of Yanlong's Yuri. It needs to be used to activate Yanlong's Yuri. It can sacrifice the small sun condensed by the power of dragon fire, thereby inducing a trace of the power of the sun that has existed since ancient times between heaven and earth, and send out a destructive blow. Note, the purer the small sun sacrificed, the stronger the attack of the sun will be. More than 8,000 years ago, during the War of the East Yan Kingdom, a legendary dragon destroyed a country with the skill of Eclipse in Burning Sky. There are actually a series of skills. Chen Wei's pupils shrank. If he remembered correctly, the special evolution form of Yanzhuang Hong Dragon, that is, the legendary Emperor alien species, Eclipse Emperor Dragon, that has only appeared once in history, has an exclusive skill of Eclipse in Burning Sky. Hey, you are really willing to transform and advance. Just when Chen Wei was lost in thought, the voice of Huanshuang Emperor Dragon suddenly sounded. Hearing this, Chen Wei looked up at Huanshuang Emperor Dragon, but ignored him. He was obviously used to its existence. What do you think? Huanshuang Emperor Dragon asked shamelessly. Sorry, senior, I already have a teacher. After saying that, Chen Wei turned his head to look at the direction of Kai Ling's advancement, without any respect for the quasi-god. Chen Wei found out that as soon as he finished his training, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon would find all kinds of excuses to coincidentally visit him, and he couldn't push him away. His only purpose was to make him his disciple. The teacher's kindness is like a mountain. Even though Huanshuang Emperor Dragon claimed to be an alchemist at the peak of the Eight Glory, a quasi-god dragon, and one of the strongest people in the world, Chen Wei still had no idea of changing his school. This was his persistence. Looking at Chen Wei, who was unmoved, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon scratched his head in distress. As the saying goes, a teacher is a father for life. In Donghua, apart from blood ties, the relationship between master and apprentice is the closest and most intimate. In order to catch up with Chen Wei, a terrifying potential stock with a hope of immortality, it tried every possible way to get Chen Wei to become its apprentice, but was rejected in the end. To be honest, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon has never seen such a stubborn person. As a rare strong man, a quasi-god dragon, if it spreads the word that it intends to accept apprentices, I am afraid that the beast masters who sincerely come to become its apprentices will line up from Zidian University to Jinhua University. Even the teachers and professors with prominent status in Zidian University can throw away their faces for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, just to prove the legend and live 1,000 years. But Chen Wei is good. Not only did he refuse to become its apprentice, he was also willing to refuse the 8th level legendary resource, Xiangxiao Thunder Dragon Ball, that it sent, which made Huanshuang Emperor Dragon, who cares about his face, very angry. Chapter 475 Bloodline Awakening. Seeing that Chen Wei's eyes were always fixed on the ice egg in the distance, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon's eyes turned and he said, "Do you want her to awaken the blood of the Yangshuang Emperor Dragon in her body, Senior? What can you do?" Chen Wei turned his head and looked at Huanshuang Emperor Dragon. Seeing that Chen Wei was finally willing to pay attention to him, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon smiled. The blood of the Yangshuang Emperor Dragon is extremely precious and expensive. It is not something that ordinary real dragons can bear. If you force it to be activated, it will only make your pet die in the extreme cold. Senior, don't keep me in suspense. Chen Wei glanced at it unhappily. Don't worry, with me here, this situation will never happen. You only need to take out a galvanized soul, and I can help your pet awaken the blood of the Yangshuang Emperor Dragon, and it will become a different kind of dragon with awakened royal blood. When the dragon essence is extremely sublimated, your dragon may be expected to become a powerful real dragon species comparable to or even surpassing the Yangshuang Emperor Dragon. Huanshuang Emperor Dragon's tone was a little bewitching. I don't have the galvanized soul, Chen Wei shrugged. It doesn't matter, I have it. Hearing this, Huanshuang Emperor Long's eyes lit up, and he took out an ordinary crystal from the illusory space, galvanized soul, a 6th level top-grade ice resource, derived from the cold endless void, has the effect of freezing the soul and delaying aging. Of course, it can also be used to activate the bloodline of some special beasts. Chen Wei looked at the galvanized soul in Huanshuang Emperor Long's hand with a strange expression, feeling that he seemed to have been tricked. If it's about becoming a disciple, then you don't need to mention it again, Senior, Chen Wei said. It's not about becoming a disciple, I just want you to promise me one thing. Huanshuang Emperor Long shook his head. Hearing this, Chen Wei couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Senior, if there is anything, I will definitely help you if I can. Looking at Chen Wei, whose attitude suddenly changed, Huanshuang Emperor Long exhaled a breath of turbid air. Anyway, since Chen Wei was able to refuse his recruitment many times for the sake of his teacher, it shows that he is a man who values love and righteousness. You are a pharmacist, you should know what dangling Hua Sheng means. Chen Wei's pupils shrank, and then a bitter smile appeared on his face. Senior, I am just a small 5-glory alchemist, he reminded word by word. Everything in the world has spirituality, and those with spirituality can practice. Some strong people will be affected by the mystery in the womb when they reincarnate, resulting in the failure of their wisdom. Danling Hua Sheng is a profound method developed by a Grandmaster alchemist in order to reincarnate without losing their wisdom. Through Danling Hua Sheng, a Grandmaster alchemist can transform the spiritual 8th level golden elixir into a blank fetus with high growth potential and strong foundation to take over the body, so as to live another life with more outstanding talents. However, the probability of this method failing is too high, and few Grandmaster alchemists are willing to try it. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to help now. Huanshuang Dylan waved his hand. To put it bluntly, I am now an 8-glory alchemist. I just want a promise from you, senior. You say, Chen Wei said softly. It may take 100 years or even decades. When my dangling is born, you must help me once to the best of your ability. Looking at Huanshuang Emperor Long's serious expression, Chen Wei was stunned. Good fellow, you are doing long-term investment, right? There are so many legendary masters in Zidian University who can seek help. Why do you have to find yourself? Seeing Chen Wei silent, Huanshuang Emperor Long gritted his teeth, endured the pain in his heart, and took out a Xiangxiao Thunder Dragon Ball with full power and surging thunder. At the same time, he kept comforting himself in his heart. You can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a child. I only have this request. If you agree, this Dragon Ball is also yours. Looking at the eye-catching legendary Dragon Ball in front of him, Chen Wei did not refuse again. He did not forget that the perfect evolution of Kailing also requires a Dragon Ball, the 7th level epic overlord, and a heart. It's a pity that this legendary Dragon Ball is not of the ice or space system. Junior agrees. Please help me, Chen Wei smiled. Hearing this, Huanshuang Emperor Long hesitated for a moment, as if he was a little entangled and reluctant. Then it closed its eyes and threw the Dragon Ball in front of Chen Wei. Catching the Dragon Ball and feeling the destructive power inside, Chen Wei just glanced at it with his delusion-breaking spiritual eyes, and after confirming the authenticity of the Dragon Ball, he put it into the star ring. Swish, looking at the legendary oath that disappeared on the Dragon Claw, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon nodded slightly, then crushed a Gallon Bingpo on the claw, and began to interfere with Kailing's advancement under Chen Wei's nervous eyes. The next second, a bright light of advancement shot up into the sky. At this time, in Kailing's spiritual world, the majestic Yuanshuang Emperor Dragon appeared again. As the dragon roared, Kailing ignored the throbbing of her blood and stared at the terrifying existence in front of her that was enough to destroy the world. Hey, hello, Kailing greeted cautiously. Perhaps it was an illusion. She felt a trace of imperceptible spirituality in Yuanshuang Emperor Dragon, as if the terrifying existence in front of her still had spiritual intelligence. Focus, I will help you eliminate the hidden dangers in your blood. Hearing this familiar voice, Kailing looked at the Yuanshuang Emperor Dragon in front of her in surprise. Strange, why do I suddenly hear the voice of Elder Huanshuang? Before Kailing could figure it out, a breath that made her feel extremely cold suddenly rushed into her brain, making her completely unable to think. Under the erosion of this coldness, Kailing's bright golden eyes suddenly burst into terrifying brilliance, and a loud and low sound of waves slapping in her body continued to come out. That was the pure blood in her body that was rapidly running and awakening. It's okay. Feeling that about 1/5 of his mental power was consumed, Huanshuang Emperor Dragon nodded with satisfaction, looking at the giant ice egg with expectation in his eyes. The dazzling advanced light began to fade, and the crisp sound of an eggshell breaking gradually sounded. Crack! The first thing that broke the ice egg was a 4-clawed dragon palm with a faint white glow, with 3 claws in front and 1 in the back. At the edges of the limbs, the mysterious silver and blue lines turned into pure silver at this moment. In addition, Kailing's body length also soared from 45 meters to 60 meters, and its huge body almost filled the entire training room. Kailing, who had successfully advanced, looked at her Beastmaster at the first time. Swish, instant movement was activated, and Kailing's figure instantly appeared in front of Chen Wei, and then disappeared. Crack, crack, a series of frost-freezing sounds rang out, and in Chen Wei's surprised eyes, a layer of flawless white frost armor suddenly covered his whole body, and then endless power emerged from his body. This power, Chen Wei clenched his fists. At this moment, even if there was a 6th-level king beast blocking him, he was still confident of winning the battle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.